This is a Draco lizard, but I like to call them a dragon because of this. Yes, it is actually the only lizard species that has literal wings, which allows it to fly in the air so they can eat bugs in hard-to-reach areas. I will be one of the first people to show off the insane abilities of the closest thing to a real dragon. So I very carefully took this thing out and finally got to see if it was real. Oh my gosh, it's actually legit. Oh my gosh. Yes, I am not kidding when I said I was waiting years for one of these things to come in stock. And at a first glance, you might be kind of confused of why. Because it kind of just looks like some regular old lizard, but there's a couple key characteristics that tell me otherwise. So I carefully grabbed it so I could show off what makes them so exotic. You see this, guys? These things have these massive flabs of extra skin that in reality is the wings. Yes, these dragon lizards purposely hide their wings by default so it'll look like a regular old lizard to bugs. But of course, at any second, the dragon could decide to reveal its wings so it could literally fly up and devour any bug it wants. And yes, I will actually be recording footage of this thing flying. And in order to see it, we gotta put together a massive enclosure. And I mean massive. For this dragon, I need to build the largest tank I've ever built on my channel. And like always, we'll be starting with the background / floor. The goal for how we wanna make this tank look is essentially to recreate the massive trees from their natural habitat, which they of course jump off to fly. And that of course means we need to stick tons of overhanging branches to this spray foam to seal them in place. Then we cover all this excess spray foam I laid out in natural stuff like dirt, leaves, and bark, and boom, this background is finished. Yes, sir, these overhanging branches will be perfect for our dragon to sit on and, of course, fly off of. But we can't just leave this floor area empty. Oh no, we gotta add dirt. And because this is the biggest tank I have, I couldn't just use a normal old bag of dirt, because those cost like $20 each, and I would need so many. Instead, I'm gonna be using these compact dirt bricks, which are way cheaper, but are a bit annoying, because in order to turn them back to dirt, you gotta soak them in a whole tub of water and wait for a very, very long time. And yeah, apparently the bucket of water I gave them wasn't enough because I had to add a whole second bucket of water just to get them expanded enough. And when these have soaked up water for hours, we can literally just take our hand and start breaking them apart into a bunch of dirt, just like that. And wait a second. No, I just realized I forgot to add the drainage layer before adding in the dirt. Oh my gosh. Yes, I actually had to scoop out all this dirt temporarily and instead started to fill it with these clay balls. If you're a fan, you obviously know what I'm making. I make it in all my builds basically. But essentially, because the dragon lizards love a super moist, high humidity environment, this drainage layer will let water soak into it and keep the whole tank nice and moist. All right, now I've just got to look past the massive mess I've made and, well, add my dirt back on top. Let's go. This tank is actually looking, well, actually now that I'm thinking about it, it has a lot of work still. Let's fix this thing. And our next step to do that is to add some decorations inside. So I'll be starting with adding some more wood. Oh, but of course, I don't just have a mere stick. I bought an insane amount of wood for this video. It was actually very expensive. I don't know why I bought this much wood, actually. But this gives me some excellent options of different wood types to pick and choose from to make this place look actually natural. I mean, there was these cool spiderwood things that I bought that actually look like trees if they had some leaves on them. The only problem is our tank is way too big for just these, so it was good that I also bought some of these more simple pieces of wood that were a bit longer so I could actually start stacking them up in this tank. You see, I'm essentially trying to make these things look like tree trunks because those dragon lizards we're getting actually spend their entire lives basically clinging onto trees. Yeah, they basically almost never even fly down to the floor. So yeah, we need to fill this thing up. But yeah, we still want to make sure there's enough empty space for our dragon to be able to fly around, so I left this area here open so that could hopefully happen. But we have a problem. This tank is still looking extremely dead and lifeless. Probably because it is dead and lifeless. There's not really any life in here, but I know just how to fix that. These are seeds, but not just any type of seeds. I went out and bought the 4 fastest growing seed types of all time because I want to get a time lapse of this tank coming to life. So it'll be interesting to see which of these 4 seeds grows the fastest. So we're gonna first start by sprinkling cress seeds on the left side of the tank, chia seeds, and broccoli seeds in the middle, and last but not least, radish seeds on the right. Honestly, I have no clue if any of these are even gonna grow at all. I guess there's only one way to find out. So I quickly sprayed down each of the seeds because, of course, seeds, they need to be wet to sprout. And I left my time-lapse camera recording so I could see what would happen. And as you could probably guess, nothing really happened the first few hours at a glance. But in reality, each seed in here was absorbing the moisture from the soil to fuel them with enough energy to start sprouting. And if you look very closely, a few of the seeds started to do just that. But since this footage was super super blurry, I moved my camera even closer to the crest seeds, where we could very much see in detail how the soil essentially starts to look like it's inflating as these little white stems start to expand out of the seeds. And right as we are about to get to the good parts, my time-lapse camera ran out of battery. Yeah, it just turned off. Bro, you gotta be kidding me. I went to sleep to time-lapse this and my phone died in the middle of it. Well, at least we got some footage, and also check out these seeds. Tons of them actually are starting to grow little green leaves, although these chia seeds didn't start growing at all, and the other seed types are just growing not nearly as well as these crest seeds. So I decided to essentially remove all the other seeds that didn't grow that well, and instead just replace them with a ton more crest seeds, since we figured out those easily grow the best. So yes sir, by the end of the video, you'll see how much the enclosure transforms from all the greenery. It should be cool. But for this next decoration, I actually have to build something custom. Yep, if you didn't know, these things right here are called rocks. Yeah, pretty revolutionary stuff. But using a genius strategy I came up with, I can stack these rocks in a curved pattern, just like my pet alien worm's enclosure, to essentially create a cave here. And yeah, I of course used some spray foam to stick it all together, and then covered it in some dirt. Yep, and the main reason I wanted to make a cave in here is because I feel like dragons are just known to live in caves. So you see how this dragon has a campfire in the cave with him? And I think we should recreate that in here. So I've got a paper towel and a lighter, so we could turn this into a campfire. Actually, wait, I might have to get another lighter. So we could turn it into a campfire. Oh yeah. Oh, that flame's getting big. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I actually can't have a fire in the enclosure. That would actually certainly be extremely dangerous for our lizard, since it's not actually a real dragon. So I instead went out and bought a super tiny mini toy campfire to recreate the same look. Pretty good. But dragons aren't only known for living in caves, they're also known for conquering castles. And you see how this castle is on top of like a rocky mountain? I think I want to build my castle on top of the cave, so it basically looks the same. But so this time I decided to go with something much easier to build. A Disney princess castle. Yeah, listen bro, I'd rather build something stupid and have it look like an actual castle rather than try and carve some stones out to somehow look like a castle. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Well, here's the Lego castle. And it looks alright, it's on top of the cave, but I have a way to make it look even better. This right here is some gray animal-safe acrylic paints, and well, I figured I should start using this to completely paint over all of the castle, because, you know, castles are usually gray because they're made out of stones, and not purple, and stuff like this princess castle. And then after it was completely painted, I covered it in a layer of paint sealant so it would stay on the bricks. But now that I look at this picture again, I'm actually noticing that it has green grass kind of all over the top of the mountain, which I feel like I should recreate that in here with this mossy stuff. And yeah, it actually doesn't look too shabby. Since that worked pretty well, I decided to start putting a bit more of this moss around to actually make this place look green, since, you know, these seeds at the bottom still haven't grown yet. And it was good to do this because it allowed me to cover areas where there is still some exposed spray foam, so this whole tank quickly started to come together. This is looking splendid. Wait a second, who put a dragon pinata right here? Well, actually it was me, because, well, we're keeping a pet dragon, and actually I'm just kind of hungry right now, I'm not gonna lie. I want some candy. Let's smash this. Hopefully we get some good candy from it. Oh, there we go. Look at all the candy, let's go. I'm sure the dragon lizard would still love to fly and climb all over it because of how soft and fluffy it is. And oh yeah, I had a good amount of that candy from the pinata too. That's good. Now, there's only one final step to make this tank ready, and that is to add in life. Yes, sir, and the first life form I want to add is actually some food for the dragon to eat. Now, you see, I've been showing this animation throughout the video of how dragons eat crickets, but in reality, they don't even eat crickets in the wild. The truth is, they primarily only eat ants, so that means I need to add lots of ants in here. So to gather up a ton of ants, basically I've got a jar of peanut butter, which I'm just gonna squeeze a ton of it onto this platform, and then I'm just gonna leave it right here, and surely a ton of ants will start to swarm it. So I set up my camera, and as you could probably guess, it didn't take very long till the first ant had stumbled across this legendary loot. He instantly knew this was some delicious food, but instead of eating it, he started to release a special pheromone into the air, which essentially tells the whole rest of the colony that there's food. Literally right when it got dark, the entire colony started to swarm in. There's even other bugs that came in, like this little earwig, which was nibbling the peanut butter, and even some slugs. But overall, this is pretty cool to watch. I'm afraid you guys have fallen straight into my trap. So I've got this paintbrush and container, and I'm essentially just gonna pick all these ants up real quick. And now I just gotta scoop as many as I can into here before they all try to run away. All right, and this should be a good enough amount of ants. Let me take this back to the tank because I have a special plan for these guys. Yep, these ants are actually not ready to feed just like this. I actually first had to pour this white calcium powder on them and shook it up, which coats them all in a layer of calcium, which if you didn't know is super important to make sure our dragon eats because it makes his bones very strong basically. Well, ants, let me start spreading you guys around this enclosure. And yeah, hopefully the dragon will naturally find some of you guys and end up eating you. Anyways, for the final life to add into this tank, I've got some regular old springtails. Which of course, the little springtails that live in this dirt eat mold, so it's always great to add them to a nice moist tank like this. Oh, but the other day I actually did just buy a scientific microscope, and I've always wanted to see what one of these springtails looks like super small. So let me go ahead and just put a bit of this dirt on there, and let's see if we can see anything. So I set up my camera right at the edge of this microscope and tried to locate a springtail. Thankfully, there's tons of this dirt, so it didn't take very long until I found this guy. Here, you can see how detailed they really are, with their legs, tiny hairs, and even their little antennas. But of course, the reason they are called springtails is, well, because of their tail that is essentially just like a spring. They're able to flick their tail at an insane speed that basically springs them up in the air, which helps them stay safe from potential predators. Although, I don't know what predator would even want to eat this. It's not like it has any nutrition since it's so small. It is crazy to think that there's thousands of these just living in this tiny little container. So let's go ahead and just kind of dump it in the enclosure and dump a few more in. Now I quickly added in the final technologies I was missing, like this automatic water misting system where you literally just press a button and it sprays the whole enclosure with water. Very cool. And of course I got the proper lights on the enclosure, which will make the left side nice and hot so the dragon can choose if he wants to be hot or cold. And well guys, I'm glad to say everything is checked off on this list, and that means this tank is 100% complete. All right guys, you know what time it is. Dragon, I'm sorry for keeping you alone for a day, but it was well worth the wait because say hello to your new home. Oh, it looks like he likes it. He's already going and climbing the branches, and oh my gosh, look at that camouflage. That's actually kind of crazy. And now that this guy's made it into his enclosure, we need to finally see what it looks like when they extend their wings and fly. However, the only way that this is gonna happen is when my dragon feels safe and comfortable enough in this tank. So I have a few things I want to do to help it adjust. First of all, starting with feeding. And there's a couple different food sources I want to feed. First of all, starting with crickets. Because even though I was saying the dragon doesn't eat these earlier, I figured it's at least worth trying, since if it does, it would make my life a lot easier. So I let a cricket loose into the enclosure, and unlucky for this guy, he immediately started to climb on the very piece of bark that our lizard was sitting directly on top of. And I guess this really goes to show how good the camouflage of this dragon lizard is, because this cricket walked straight up to him. He could not even see there was a lizard here. But considering this cricket was basically bigger than the dragon's head, it was no surprise that the dragon didn't even try to eat it. And yeah, literally every time I brought a cricket over to his head for the next hour, he just did not try and eat them. All right, something's telling me this dragon lizard doesn't actually like to eat crickets because, I mean, there's literally a cricket under his neck hugging him right now. So let's move on to our next food source, which is, of course, ants. And as you can see, I actually have some of those calcium dusted ants, so I can feed them very easily without having to find the ones I put in here. Since the dragon had moved a bit and was now perching under the heat lamp, I figured I'd just bring the ants straight to him. Since in the wild, that's actually how they usually eat. They just sit still on top of a tree and snipe every ant that comes up next to them. But I guess that instinct is hardwired into every Draco lizard, because mine pretty much instantly also starts to slurp up these guys. Let's go. I'm actually happy he's starting to eat these a bit. That means he's getting more used to this enclosure. Now, obviously, ants, they're great, but I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a pain to have to go out and collect those every time I want to feed this guy. And that's not even to mention, usually it's just not even recommended to feed stuff you get from outside. So I have one more food source I want to try: flightless fruit flies. Yeah, most people would think Draco lizards actually wouldn't want to eat fruit flies. My thinking is, since they're the same size and color of ants and actually even more nutritious, I figured it wouldn't be a bad idea to try them out. So I dumped some in, and to my surprise, the Draco lizard actually showed the most interest in these fruit flies, because not only did he just start to pick off the ones that were running by him, but he was also going out of his way to jump around and hunt these flies. Dang, must be pretty tasty. Let's go. The fact that these fruit flies work makes feeding so much easier. But you see, actually by this point, I've had this little Draco lizard in the tank for like 10 days. You can actually see how much the tank is transforming with all that grass growing everywhere. And oh dang, look at how long the grass is on this side. But over these 10 days, I have realized how hard it is to keep one of these Draco lizards. I've been spending hours every day to help him get adjusted to the tank so he can thrive, and I've even been getting him slowly adjusted to my hand so he won't be as scared of me. And because this guy has been constantly showing off his wings in the tank, I figured now would finally be the right time to try and get it to fly. So I very carefully picked up the little guy and held him in the sky. Alright, now even though I technically could just kind of hold this guy on a ladder and wait until he jumps off, because they pretty much always catch themselves with their wings, considering I already know they're such hard pets to keep, I wouldn't want to have to stress him out any more than he needs. So I'm just gonna hold him in front of the enclosure I know he likes and just see if he wants to glide in on his own. And don't worry, I had tons of cushioning right under in case it didn't work. So I set up my camera and I caught this happening. The dragon was staring at the cage, looking like he was ready to jump. So I gave him a little nudge with my thumb and then it happened. Hold on, rewind that so we can get a better look at what just happened. Now I do want to say sorry for the trash footage quality. I didn't want to have to re-record this and make the dragon jump again, so this is all you get. Anyways, as you can see, he jumped and immediately brought out his wings. They're literally programmed to know that once they're not touching the ground, to bring out their wings. We could see how he caught the wind and perfectly flew exactly where he was trying to land, right on the branch. That was insane, and don't worry, little guy, I'm not gonna make you do that again. And what's interesting is these lizards only fly in the wild when there's a strong wind current, so I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of using a leaf blower to help recreate that in here. That's kind of why that worked so well, and he was actually able to catch the wind. And yeah, this guy's still doing great. But remember, they actually are really hard reptiles to keep, so only try and get one if you actually have tons of experience keeping reptiles in the past. Anyways, I hope you guys learned something new about nature. This is my harvester ant colony. Despite starting from a tiny little tube, over the past 30 days, the colony has expanded to an entirely new level. Over the month, I've documented their lifestyle, including them hunting, building shelter, eating, and more. I even introduced special predators and prey in order to simulate real-world scenarios in the wild. To understand how this all started, we gotta go back to day 1, where my entire colony was confined to a single tube. But while they may be small, they are already extremely powerful. To demonstrate this, I'm putting a live mealworm inside. The colony immediately went into defense mode, and the workers swarmed the worm. While half of the ants used their mandibles to crush the worm's exoskeleton, the other half gathered around the queen and larvae to protect them from the potential threat. Using their stingers, they injected a potent venom into the worm to paralyze it. The mealworm stood no chance. The colony was getting way too big for this tiny tube, and they were even trying to break their way out. So I figured now is a good time to expand them into a bigger home. This is a hybrid nest, and it's gonna be their new home. So I connected vinyl tubing, and soon enough, one of the ants started to walk towards the new nest. After discovering it, she traveled back to her home to tell the rest of the colony about the newfound land. And slowly, over the rest of the day, everyone moved into the nest. I let the colony get used to their new home for a few days, but by day 6, I was bored of just looking at the ants in a plastic nest. So I wanted to build their first real-world habitat with live prey and predators, a desert. For the build, I built up the substrate starting with a drainage layer, and then I added in a mix of sand and coconut fiber for the floor. I finally added in rocks, wood, and cacti to make it, you know, a desert. The desert was complete, so I connected the ants with another vinyl tube, and quickly a couple workers ventured into the uncharted territory. While the ants liked the desert, they had to be careful to avoid the deadly predators. Anyways, I wanted to add a desert-themed prey into this habitat to give the ants a solid protein source. So let me introduce you to Mexican jumping beans. These guys may just look like giant seeds, but in reality, they move. That's because inside of each of these beans is a little caterpillar that would eventually turn into a beautiful moth. But these caterpillars will not be turning into moths because the ants are going to eat them. Now, to be honest, I thought the ants would just swarm the jumping beans and dig their way into them, but in reality, they didn't really react to them. So I had to expose the juicy prey inside by cutting them open myself and putting them right next to some of the colony. And well, it's safe to say that the ants enjoyed the soft membrane caterpillars that they could split in half with their mandibles. Okay, that's actually pretty brutal if I'm being honest. The colony slowly started to build up their food supply at their home base with seeds and the caterpillars. And of course, the excess food led the queen to start laying more and more eggs. In order to give a reason for the colony to explore further into this desert, I sprinkled some of their favorite food around the habitat, dandelion seeds. And let's just say those seeds made the ants start swarming into the desert, and everyone was doing their part to take food back to the queen. But one of the ants traveled a little too far into the desert and came across this little pit. Thinking it was nothing, he made the worst decision of his life and walked into it. Something was attacking, and the ant could do nothing about it. You see, earlier that day, I had placed antlion larvae into the desert. These guys create little holes in the sand and wait for an unlucky ant like this guy to stumble in. But this ant wasn't going to die without a fight and grabbed on with his mandibles. The antlion was actually losing and didn't even have a grip on the ant. But the antlion was smarter and used his ability to burrow and pulled the ant under the sand, never to be seen again. So to prepare for all the new ants, I'm gonna build another entire habitat for the ants to explore with all the new predators and prey. So in this weirdly shaped terrarium, I'm building a rainforest. Honestly, it's a little complicated on how I built it, so I'm just gonna show you these sped up clips, and there we go. I'm gonna first fill up this rainforest with some Kentucky bluegrass seeds. And then I've also got some flightless fruit flies for the ants to get even more food. Of course, where there's food, the ants will venture. And within a few minutes, the ants were swarming their new habitat. The flightless fruit flies were the perfect size for the ants to hunt. And literally single ants could bring them back to the nest. But this wasn't just a food-filled dreamland. There are predators here, and this ant is about to figure out the hard way. As I'm about to introduce a fierce predator into the rainforest. Something menacing with excellent eyesight and sharp venomous fangs. Everyone, please welcome Jeremy, my jumping spider. Aww. I haven't fed Jeremy in days, so I expect him to instantly start eating the ants. Wait, what? Okay, it turns out Jeremy is a little bit camera shy and just instantly went to hide in some plants. I tried to push him out so I could film him eating some of the ants, but he just went and hid at another place where I couldn't even see him. Well, Jeremy is in this rainforest, and when he does decide to come out, these ants better be careful. I'm going to create a sandstorm. So I brought over my hairdryer and turned it on. The sand started to fly everywhere, and the ants that were out exploring had to try their best to cling onto the grains of sand that they could. But over in the rainforest, fog had started to roll in, and a thunderstorm appeared out of nowhere. This rain will play a vital role in making sure the ant colony has enough water to sustain their entire colony. With one wrong turn, the ant makes its way towards a carnivorous Venus flytrap. The ant slightly stepped onto it, not knowing its life could end at any moment. Foolishly, it fell for the bait, as Venus flytraps produce a sweet nectar to attract insects. As the ant was busy inspecting the plant, the flytrap slowly started to close its mouth, leaving no chance of escape for the ant. You could see the ant slightly moving around inside, but over the coming days, the Venus flytrap will produce a type of acid that will dissolve the poor ant into nothing onto an intruder in their home nest. The intruder I'm gonna put in the nest is this dubia roach. So I removed the glass and put the roach in. Immediately, it crawled down to the bottom of the nest where there were no ants. Now, to be honest, I thought the ants would instantly start swarming the roach, but it took a few minutes before even the first ant had contact with it. The ant got super scared and fell on his back. But the roach was just as scared, and it ran all the way to the exit of the nest. He then crawled out into the desert outworld, never to be seen again. Thankfully, the queen was left unharmed, and the colony got to live another day. Over the past 30 days, the ants went from a tiny tube to a thriving nest with multiple ecosystems. Although some of the ants were lost to predators. I just got this in my car, and we gotta take this home to see if the axolotl inside is gonna be able to survive. And I really hope it's okay, because if it is, I'm gonna completely completely revamp this home into a dream home paradise so we can give this axolotl his best life. Quickly, I went home and set up a filter in the water so I would be able to see inside. But after letting it run for 30 minutes, the water literally did not clear up at all. Okay, I have no time to waste, so I'm just gonna try and dig around and scoop it out with this net, even though I can't see anything. So I started to take each decoration out one by one, and it didn't take long until I saw this little thing at the bottom of the net. I had found the axolotl, and thankfully it was still in good health. So I quickly moved it out into a temporary tank and was super surprised by what I saw. Guys, this is not a normal axolotl. This is actually a super rare axolotl. It has the golden trait, and it also looks like it's albino and a baby. To put in perspective how rare this is, this whole tank was like $5, as you know. I could probably sell this right now as it is for over $100. And little did I know, this axolotl was even rarer than I thought. It actually had a special gene that made it be able to glow in the dark and more. Yeah, this video is insane. Anyways, pretty much every decoration's a fake plastic one. The substrate is absolutely nasty, and just the whole thing has no structure to it. It's just plain ugly. So I took out all the trash decorations and threw them in the garbage where they belong. Then I emptied out all the sand, since I'm pretty sure that's what was causing the water to be so brown. And finally, what the heck is this, bro? Why did the seller's uncle just tape a picture of bamboo on the wall? It doesn't fit, and it doesn't even make sense. Like, axolotls don't live with bamboo. Yeah, that is so dumb. Let's rip this trash off of there. Anyways, now that we're back to the bare bones of this tank, the first step is to build the lake bed base. To build that, we start by just putting a ton of sand in here and piling it up in a mound in the middle of the tank, because I have a cool idea for this. You see, axolotls live at the bottom of lakes in the wild, so to build that in here, I stuck some wooden branches in the sand and surrounded them in a ton of river rocks. Which, if you're wondering the names of them, this type is called a Terageen stone, and this one is called a Terageen stone. Yeah, I don't know who names these, but I would just call them smooth stone and rough stone. Those are better names. Anyways, while I planted them around, and I made it look absolutely beautiful, I put the taller plants near the back of the mound and the smaller plants up near the front, since it adds some nice depth in here, or something like that. All right, it's starting to look pretty good, but to complete the sides, this is where we're going to put the custom DIY builds. And you see, in the wild, axolotls like to hide in little rock caves because that's where they feel safe from predators. So I'm gonna build a custom little cave on the right side, and to start that, I found this basket in my house. Oh, this is gonna work perfectly. Let's just get that out of there. With this, I started by getting out a heavy-duty saw and cutting a hole in it that would serve as the entrance to the cave, and then I quickly sanded down the rough edges and used my hot glue gun to start gluing these little thin gray rocks all around it to obviously give it that cave look. And after I was done gluing all those on, it actually looked pretty solid. But as you can see, some of the hot glue I used to connect it was still exposed, so I quickly covered that in some pebbles. Once I was done, I put the enclosure in, and it didn't really fit. So I took it out and rearranged some of the rocks and put it back in, and boom, perfect fit. There we go. I think that cave looks pretty good in the grand scheme of things, and yeah, it is a pretty small entrance to get inside, but obviously the rare axolotl is still a baby, so it should be able to fit in there just fine. Anyways, I finished it off by putting some plants right out in front and a couple big rocks on top to make it look more cavey. There we go. Everything's starting to come together well, but now it's time to design the left side. And if you guys remember, that first version of the tank had this big ugly like bamboo wallpaper along the back. But anyways, this did actually get me kind of inspired, and for the left side, I want to make it just like bamboo themed, you know. We got to keep a little bit of the original, because I guess it wouldn't really be transforming if we didn't. So let's get that done. For the first decoration, I of course got out some brown sticks of bamboo, so it'd be bamboo-y, you know. Oops. And on each stick of bamboo, I started to drill little holes. You see, axolotls like to have resting spots near the top of their enclosures. That way they can easily swim up and gulp air from the surface. So to build something like that, I got out some string and started to thread all the bamboo together. I kind of felt like a grandma doing this, you know, sewing away with a needle. Yeah, it was pretty fun though. Anyways, I hot glued the ends of the string so they wouldn't move, and boom, check this out. A bamboo hammock that the axolotl can rest on. In order to get it attached to the top of the enclosure, I once again used some hot glue to put on some little suction cups, and in no time it was complete. Alright, there we go. Check the hammock out. I'm sure the axolotl's gonna like to lay on this, and yeah, to complete this left side, we're gonna add a little more bamboo decoration. And so in the sand, I want to put some live actual bamboo. It's curly for some reason, not really know why, but I'm gonna plant this in
the sand.
So I put each of the bamboos there under the hammock and covered it in a mound of sand.
But I'm not done yet. I've been saving the coolest addition for last. And this next thing is gonna take this from a normal aquarium to, well, if I'm being honest, it's probably still gonna be kind of normal, but it's gonna be cooler looking.
Now to build this thing, I first got out some giant plastic boards and glued them together to make one giant board. Then I covered it all with some black felt.
Now you're probably wondering why I built this giant black platform, but basically the reason is because I can go and put it right behind the tank just like this. And then now what I'm gonna do is use these things called plant pockets, glue them to the back of that, and basically what this allows me to do is, you know, put plants in them, and we're gonna have some overhanging plants in here.
But first I needed to go get the plants.
Like, dang, that's actually a good deal. It's definitely cheaper than those aquatic plants. We don't talk about those though.
When I got home, I got out the plants and put them all inside their little pockets.
And dang, check this whole thing out. It actually looks all right. Just don't go around and look at the back. Yeah, it's kind of curving, but honestly, it kind of gives a cool effect. And, you know, it makes the plant leaves drip over the top.
Anyways, now to complete the build, I just got to do some finishing touches. And what that means is I first filled it up with some cycled water and attached a filter on it.
Okay, I've never used one of these filters before, but apparently it's pretty cool. I just got to go and plug it in down here. And dang, check this out. Look, it's like a waterfall. It makes a bunch of these little water streams. But I guess when I want it to be quiet, I can just go like that, and there we go. Can't really hear it anymore.
Now I saved the best thing for last, this little gift present.
Okay, this is actually cool what's inside. Basically, it's this little glass crystal ball with a hologram of an axolotl inside. There we go. So what you do is you put it on this little platform, and basically it just kind of glows there and changes colors.
Anyways, this is now completely transformed, and it's time to not only add in the golden axolotl to his new home, but show off exactly what axolotls do during their days and show off how it can literally glow in the dark.
So I just want to shine this in here and see if my axolotl actually has that glow in the dark ability. I actually have no idea if this is gonna work. Wait. Oh, okay, wait. I actually did not expect that to work. Oh, look at the axolotl. He's just glowing in the dark. Yeah, I don't really know what I expected, but it's actually pretty cool. So for whatever reason, if I can't find the axolotl, I just turn off the lights, click this button, and boom, you're found, buddy. You're never gonna be able to hide from me ever again. I want to test just some normal fish food. Yeah, I don't know if he's actually gonna eat it. It's fish food, it's not axolotl food, but let's try it out.
So I dropped them in and let them sit for a little while, but yeah, he didn't really eat them, and he didn't even come out to take a look at them.
And his new enclosure, he's gonna love it.
So I scooped it up out of its temporary enclosure, and bada bing, bada boom, welcome to your new home. Right away, he started to explore around his new tank and eventually made his way into the cave I built for him.
Okay, so the axolotl's in the cave right now, so this is the perfect time to test out some foods.
Bloodworms.
So these are frozen bloodworms, so to make them, you know, not frozen anymore, just kind of plop the packet in a little cup of water like that. And we can go and just take this big chunk and put it in right next to the axolotl.
And it didn't take long until he noticed it and instantly took a snap at it, eating the whole pile up.
And oh my gosh, he just ate that whole thing. Oh, dang.
Night crawlers.
Which are just worms, basically. But they're giant worms compared to those tiny little blood worms. Okay, here we go. We got a nice little tiny piece of worm, and we're just gonna drop it in right next to the axolotl.
And after wiggling it around in front of him, he picked up the scent, and as you can expect, yep, he started going crazy, eating this worm up too.
He's absolutely just devouring this, just shaking it up. He's not letting this thing get away. That's a good axolotl. Oh my gosh, this guy's so cool. We actually got this guy for $5. I can't believe that.
Anyways, old fish tank has a live fish and frogs.
And just look at this monstrosity. Yeah, this is not even a fish tank. The water is straight up black, and somehow it says there's fish and frogs alive in that. How is that even possible? I need to save those guys.
So in this video, I'm gonna buy that tank, completely revamp it into the best fish tank ever, and save the fish and frogs that are somehow still alive inside of it. So first, I had to, of course, drive out to the cellar and fork up the $20 needed to buy it.
You see, normally a fish tank for $20 would be a good deal, but this thing has a whole list of problems. But anyways, it's mine now, so we're just gonna go take it home and, you know, run some diagnostics. That we're just gonna see if these fish are gonna be able to survive. Let's go.
As soon as I got home, I got out some water testing strips. And after swishing them around, I figured out that there was a bunch of problems with the current water. I needed to get the fish and frogs out of there as soon as possible. So I quickly got a temporary tank, built it up, and added some healthy quick start bacteria to make it safe for the fish. And of course, I can't scoop the fish out of this straight up sewage water. Yeah, I can't even see through it. So I quickly set up a filter And after a few hours, I was able to see through the water.
All right, it's 100% clear now, and if there's fish in here, I'm gonna scoop it out with this net. Oh, did you just see that right there? It's a good thing these are still alive. Let me get you out.
Thankfully, the frogs were still okay, so I scooped them out. And eventually, I even found the fish, all still in good health. I identified the frog species as African dwarf frogs, which are able to survive fully underwater. And the fish was the species of black coolie loach, which is this weird snake-looking thing. But of course now, it's time to focus on transforming this. I honestly can't get over how bad this is, like genuinely, who built this? And to start the process, this thing needed to be cleaned. So I drained out the sewage water and got rid of it. And of course, I took everything else out because, yeah, we don't really want any of this nasty stuff. If I'm being honest, this is already 100 times better than that garbage we started with. But we're about to make this 1,000 times better. So let's give those creatures a new home. Anyway, step one was to buy a lot of money's worth of new supplies.
Oh my god, $400. This is gonna be an insane build.
And get them delivered to my house. But for step two, we gotta actually get to building and, there we go. And to start the build, I'm gonna recreate that plastic arch thing that was originally in the tank. And I'm gonna base the entire theme of the new tank around that. Just obviously, I'm gonna be using real rocks, not plastic trash pet store rocks that are dirty. Yeah, this is so bad. Get this out of here. Anyways, the build was pretty simple. You just place rocks in and then glue them together. And then repeat that like a billion times. And after literally 4 hours, the cave arch structure was done. And I know, it might look like trash right now with all that exposed foam and stuff, but trust me, it's gonna look good soon. And speaking of looking good, let's get to the next part where we add in the floor and decorations. First, I'll do the floor, which I'm mostly gonna be making out of this aqua soil stuff. But I also kept some of the original soil from the trash tank because while it was dirty, it was actually some pretty good soil. But of course, it needed to be cleaned so I wasn't getting deadly bacteria and viruses in my new tank. So to kill all that stuff, I decided to boil it in some boiling water. Yeah. Alright, it's been boiling for a little bit and it's probably killed all the bacteria and stuff. But I was thinking this kind of looks like soup, so I'm just gonna go and see if my mom will try and drink it or something. I don't know, let's see.
I made some soup. Do you want to try it?
What kind of soup is it? It's dirt.
No, it's mushroom.
Okay. Is it really mushrooms?
Yeah. No, like actually it is. You can
No,
just...
it's not. No, it's not. It's raw.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's mushroom.
Okay, I guess it doesn't really look like soup. She didn't fall for it. Anyways, I added it in and then poured a layer of gravel on top. The floor was now finished, and next up was the decorations, which basically meant I was just gonna add some plants and stuff. Yeah. For the plants, I got a delivery that cost $100 from some aquarium website, and I got straight to planting them. First, I covered the whole top of the cave in this moss stuff to make it look like grass was growing on top. Then for the rest of the plants, I just, put them around the aquarium, as you do. Finally, I scattered some rocks and wood around. I just, forgot to record that part, so just imagine this is footage of me doing that. Okay, the whole base of the tank is now complete, but this is honestly kinda average. Rocks, plants, every aquarium has that. And I'm transforming this into the best aquarium to give justice to the poor frogs and fish, meaning I still have a lot of work to do. Next up on the list is to add custom technology in here that'll make the tank actually cool. And the first technology I got is this little water pump. And to show you what it does, let me fill the tank up with water, plug it in, and yeah, boy, it makes bubbles. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but it is important to have this so oxygen can spread around the tank.
Nice.
Anyways, this next technology is actually cool. I was just wandering around Walmart yesterday and saw this little robo fish that apparently can swim around in the water by itself. That is too cool to pass up on, so of course I bought half of their stock. And on the packaging it says it even changes colors in the water. That's sick. But I don't really know how this works, so I guess I'll just press this button and, oh, the fins are moving. Okay, let me put this in the water. Wait, bro, look at this thing. This is actually pretty cool. Wait, I gotta get these other ones in here. Let's see. Okay, all the fish are in here, and this just looks like an aquarium now. I'm not even gonna lie. Bro, the actual fish are gonna be so confused when they see these ones in here. That is gonna be so funny. Anyways, for now, I'm gonna take them out, and later I'll be adding them back in with the live fish to see how the live fish react. This is an automatic fish feeder. Basically, I just gotta set it up on the side, fill it up with all types of tasty food, and now I just press this button on the side, and it'll drop food. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Or I can set it to be automatic every 12 or 24 hours. But there's no fish in here, so let me just take this food out so it doesn't get moldy and stuff. Okay, now the final technology, and this, to be honest, isn't anything special. It's just a water filter and a water heater, which is just some basic necessities to make sure our fish and frogs are able to thrive. And speaking of those guys, it's almost time to see how they're gonna react to the new transformed tank. But before then, I'm gonna first add in some friends for them. And I've got a lot of stuff. The first species I added in was a bunch of ghost shrimp, which, you know, are shrimp. They clean up the tank and stuff. Thanks, guys. But actually, this is a pretty cool species because as you can see, they're kind of see-through. And because of that, you can literally see stuff inside of their body. Like this guy just ate some moss. And because of that, you can see some green inside of his body. Wow. The next species I added in was 2 new African dwarf frogs and 5 more coolie loaches. And yes, these are the same species of fish and frogs that were in the original tank. And that's because those species that we already have are all social animals, and it wasn't ideal to only have the 2 frogs and 1 fish that we started with. The final species I added in was some neon tetras, just because, well, they look cool and they swim around schools and they look cool. Yeah. Well, all the friends are added now, so of course it's time to add the original frogs and fish inside. Be free. Okay, well, that's kind of anticlimactic. Well, they're in here now, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna live an amazing life, so that's good. But now that it's transformed, this is the best part of the video, where I'll be doing stuff like seeing how the fish react to the robot fish, and also I'll even be hatching live prey from eggs to feed the frogs and fish some live food. And speaking of that live prey, let's get to hatching that now, because it's gonna take a little while to get those hatched. These are brine shrimp eggs, which to start the hatching process, we're basically gonna get a pot, throw a bunch of ingredients in there like a soup, and put in a heater, a light, and a pump. And yeah, basically these shrimp are gonna hatch in about a day, probably. I don't know if I set this up right, but I guess we'll see. In the meantime, I had to, of course, test out the robot fish in the aquarium, so, be free. Right after adding them, the first fish to encounter them was the little school of neon tetras. At first, they seemed pretty chill about it, just ignoring it and going about their normal life. That was until one of the robot fish started to rush at them at max speed, and, they all got extremely scared. One of the frogs was also chilling on top of the cave when another robot fish came swimming in towards them. Yeah, he was not gonna have any of that. But the thing is, most of the fish were inside of the cave, so I wasn't able to see their reaction. So, of course, I put all the robot fish inside of it. And, yeah, they kind of all got stuck, and I couldn't record any of the fish reactions because it was too dark. And since I couldn't even reach the robot fish to get them out, they're just gonna be a permanent addition to the cave. Nice. Anyways, I let a day pass so that I could come back to the brine shrimp eggs being hatched. And while it looked like 99% of the eggs hadn't hatched, if we zoom in a bunch on my bad quality iPhone camera, you can see thousands of little dots swimming around. Those are the brine shrimp. Listen, I didn't say they were gonna be big, okay? So I got my water sucker, sucked them up, and was ready to feed the fish. I first put a little bit of the shrimp right next to a lone neon tetra, and within seconds he started going crazy. It even attracted the attention of some of the other tetras, and soon multiple were sucking up all the tasty shrimp. Next up, I put some of the brine shrimp near a frog, and at first he seemed to not care, but then he started to, of course, devour them too. I guess these brine shrimps taste good. Dang. Finally, I put some of the brine shrimp near a coolie loach, and I was expecting this guy to start eating them too, but he kind of just, yeah, he just swam away into the darkness of a cave. Bruh. Well, even though I found this aquarium as a piece of garbage, I'm happy I was able to completely transform it and give a new home to the poor fish and frogs that were alive in it originally. I don't know, let me just add this to the cart. And thanks to the one-day delivery, literally the next day, I opened up my door to the package. Okay, there we go. I guess this should be the Black Widow. And I genuinely think this is the most venomous pet I've kept on the channel. But anyways, let's go open this up. So I brought it to my table and opened the package up. After carefully taking out the packing material, I then took out the container that had a Black Widow spider inside. Oh, nah, here it is. A literal Black Widow. But I did just figure something out because apparently I didn't order just one of these. If you look down in this box, I actually ordered 2 more. Yeah, apparently I accidentally placed the order for a 3-pack, so now I have 3 Black Widows. But I wanted to take a closer look, so I opened up a container to let a spider out. And I guess it was a bit dizzy because instantly it fell on its back to reveal that iconic red hourglass shape, which warns you that this spider is nothing to mess around with. It has a potent bite. Oh shoot, 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 it's trying to escape. Put it in the container, okay. Whoa.
I gotta be more careful with these things, man.
But these 3 spiders aren't gonna spin webs in these tiny containers. They were gonna need a proper enclosure, which I needed to build by first covering a bunch of spray foam with dirt and wood chip stuff to make the background. But in the middle, I put in this rock background and spray foamed normal rocks to it. You see, I'm gonna separate the enclosure into a forest, a cave, and a home interior to see where black widows like to make webs and hunt the most. For the home interior part, I got a piece of styrofoam and painted a brick pattern onto it to, you know, make it look like a brick wall like a lot of homes have. And so I spray foamed that in, and the background was now complete.
And now we gotta do the web building bases. Basically what that means is we just put sticks and stuff so the spiders can spin their webs in here.
To start, I'm gonna lay down a simple substrate across the entire enclosure that I'll be able to customize to each environment. But first of all, the forest, and as I'm sure you can imagine, we're gonna put some wood in here, just enough on the 2 sides for a solid web to be made in between. And then I'm even gonna glue some moss coming down from the ends of the branches so it sort of looks like leaves on a tree.
And then I'm gonna get this bag of leaves that I bought. And don't ask me why I didn't just pick them up from outside. I don't know why I bought these.
But anyways, with those, I scattered them along the bottom, so it looked like a forest floor with all the fallen leaves everywhere. And last but not least, I got some tiny rocks and scattered them around too. Just a few, because I gotta save most for the cave. And speaking of the cave, we're gonna start right away by laying down some rocks, because that's pretty much all they got. But as you can see in this photo, there's actually a bunch of these pointy rocks called stalagmites. And I think they would work perfectly in my enclosure, so let me get some.
Alright, so I've got a big rock and a hammer right there. So I guess let me just try to carve some of those stalagmites out of this. So I guess I'll just go and try and hit it. I don't really know if this is gonna work, but you're gonna break. Hello?
Eventually, after a bit of hitting, I got a few pieces that when connected sorta looked like stalagmites, so I went and attached them together with spray foam. And then using more spray foam, I stuck them all into place pointing up in the cave section of the enclosure. Finally, I went and sprinkled some normal colored rocks around and then some different colored rocks around because, yeah, we literally just put rocks everywhere for this section.
Alright, once this spray foam dries, I'm gonna go in and paint it, but for now, let's work on the home interior section. And to start, I've got this carpet-like material, which I'm gonna cut out to shape, and then I'm just gonna go and put it in there, and boom.
Now I need to get some mini home furniture in here that the spider will be able to spin his webs from.
And my only idea for how I can get that is to build it with some Legos. So yeah, let's get building, baby.
First of all, using black bricks, I stacked them up to make this little lampshade thing. Then with some red bricks, I made a tiny little couch. Now a chair made of brown bricks. Finally, I just took the rest of my bricks to make a randomly color assorted red and white shelf. Yeah, I'm a master builder, as you can tell. Anyways, I went and put each of those inside and even got some little dollhouse furniture to fill in the dead space, and boom, shakalaka. That's what I call a home house interior. I know a lot of black widows love to live inside houses, so one of them should definitely like this place.
But the next step on the list is to get some plants.
Put the 2 land plants in the forest section, which as you can see, I ended up getting a beautiful red plant to match the red on black widows. Then I took apart the plant from Home Depot and glued the vines coming down from the top of the cave section. Finally, I glued some more moss all along the forest section because I felt like it wasn't green enough. And then I added a bit of this dead type of fern moss along parts of the cave because I felt like it matched pretty well.
Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, the stupid AI generated pictures for the house interior.
So I cut them out and glued them along sides of the brick wall. There were many great works of art, like a black widow flying in the sky with wings, a black widow dancing in a disco room, and a black widow eating a male after mating, which yes, they actually do that in the wild. Now you see in the wild, black widows are actually cannibals towards other female black widows, which means my 3 black widows cannot be able to access each other, or, you know, they'd probably eat each other.
So I've got these acrylic sheets, which should act as good separators.
So I went and measured them to size and then cut them out.
There we go, that fits perfectly. And now last but not least, I'm gonna put in one of these reptile foggers.
Basically, when you turn this dial, it spits a bunch of fog out the end of this tube. Black widows love a high humidity to make their webs, so this should encourage them to do that quickly. And well, I would say this enclosure is now 100% complete, but that does mean I gotta actually let the black widows loose in here, which I'm kind of scared to do, but let's just do it.
And as you can see, I've got the 3 black widows in their own little containers. So I've got the first one. Let's let this guy loose into the forest. Then I'm gonna put the second one into the cave section like that. Then finally, the 3rd black widow in the home interior section.
And while all the spiders were now in their new home, I took an interest to the one in the forest area. You see, this one immediately started to crawl all around her new home and even made her way up to the roof of the enclosure. There on the roof, you can see she started to walk walk around with a little strand of silk coming out the end of the abdomen. She was already building a web. Spiders, of course, do this to catch prey, and black widows in specific have some of the strongest silk out of any spider, which is somehow produced in these little silk glands that they have. Anyways, I left the black widow to continue with that, and the next day I came back and opened up the top of the enclosure. You could see the area where she was constructing the web, and now she was hiding in this little crevice.
So much for building this enclosure. I built all this forest area just for the spider to make her web right in this little area. Well, at least she has something, because that means now I can try and feed her a bunch of different types of food.
I put in some crickets to see if it would eat, and literally right away one of the crickets jumped towards the spider and jolted him awake, which I guess was a good sign because the spider was now finally moving. But when I tried to bring the cricket back, it scared the spider and it ran away into the cave. I almost lost track of the spider until I came across her again on top of the enclosure where she had somehow escaped to. I tried to feed her a cricket once again, but she just was not having it, so I scooped her back into the plastic container.
Well, it looks like this black widow is also not eating, which usually would mean I would go test the third and final food source, which was gonna be just crickets, but a bit bigger. But I kind of have bad news because I don't really have a spider to feed these to.
Yes, you heard that right. Since putting the third spider into the house interior section 2 days ago, I haven't seen it at all. It literally escaped my enclosure, and now not only did I have one missing, but I also had 2 more that weren't eating. Now I wanted to start small, and as you can see, these mealworms I bought are absolutely minuscule. They're barely the size of the tip of my finger, but hopefully the spider will still like them. Using some tweezers, I dropped a mealworm straight into the spider's web, and immediately it started to squirm around to try and escape. But spider webs are specifically designed to keep little insects like this stuck in them. All the wiggling around made the black widow come awake, and soon it even crawled out, only to walk right by the mealworm and run away. In fact, this black widow tried to make a grand escape and even webbed down the side of my table onto the floor.
Oh, no, do not go under the table. Do not go under the table.
Anyways, I ended up scooping it into a container where I then dropped another mealworm in front of him, and once again, he didn't want to eat it.
Okay, based off the decorations.
Oh my gosh. Is it a black widow?
Yeah, it's a black widow.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you see those paintings on the wall?
Yeah, I do.
A black widow? Isn't that cool?
No.
Why? Okay, I got them onto this little tray for you, and basically, you can see it right there. What do you
No,
think?
no.
Say hi.
No. I wouldn't keep that as a pet.
Why? It's cute. Well, I did say I have a job for you, so can you hold the camera?
Oh my gosh, you are not gonna put this on you.
Here, hold the camera. All right, as you see, we got the black widow in a nice little clear container, and I'm just gonna start by literally putting it on my sleeve like this until it crawls out.
You see, the plan is to have it crawl onto my sleeve, and then from there, it'll crawl onto my hand. So I basically just waited until it started to crawl out.
I have to be super calm right now.
But as you could have guessed, of course things went wrong, because as you can see, it just started to grasp onto the edge of the container and not let go at all. I was probably making it pretty mad, so I quickly transferred it to a piece of cardboard.
Okay, so I decided to just put them onto a piece of cardboard, and I'll let them crawl out here.
And after gathering together a bunch of courage, I just moved the cardboard in front of my hand to let it happen.
Okay, I'm gonna do it in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Lord Father, Jesus, please. Oh God, Lord Father, please. Okay, it's time to go off. It's time to go off, Lord Father.
Oh,
Oh, that was so nerve-wracking. Oh my gosh, how did you feel doing that?
the heart was going 500 beats a second. Come on, Dad, let's get this in my car. Guys, we just bought this tank from someone who said he didn't want it anymore. And apparently there's a live turtle inside, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing home quickly.
Yeah. Wait. Stop. I think I just saw something in there. Wait, do you see that?
And after taking a closer look, you can see the turtle was right there, chilling under a piece of wood. So we took off the lid to get it out.
Yeah, look, the turtle's in here. Wait, should we take it out until we get home?
Well, we don't have a place to put it. Well, we might as well just keep it in there.
I guess so. I mean, we're not super far from home. He looks all right. Let me just put him back in here. There you go, buddy. I'll just cover you back up.
After we got it home, I searched around for a second until I found the turtle again, which looked like it was still in good health, so I took it out to get a closer look.
What species is this? I don't think I've ever seen this. It has like orange on it. Hold on, I guess let me just put this into my temporary tank. I have an idea of how to figure out what species this is.
So I opened up an AI app on my phone to take a picture of the turtle and ask what species it thought it was. And it came back as a Central American wood turtle, and even gave me some facts about it. But at the very bottom, it said that it had the special ability to stomp on the ground to make worms rise to the surface.
Wait, that is actually so cool. I'm gonna 100% test that later in this video. And look, I'm gonna put in this big rock background.
You see, the previous previous owner did give me these for free, saying they would fit perfectly, and he was right because as you can see, I was able to wrap them around all sides of the enclosure, and they fit perfectly, so I spray foamed them all into place.
And now, continuing with the rock theme, I'm gonna take some of these rocks and lay them down across the entire enclosure, which will basically separate the land and water areas in here.
Since the water is going to be on the side closest to the front, we want to get some spray foam and block up all the little holes and gaps along the rocks. And before it's able to dry, I covered it in some smaller rocks and pebbles to hide the exposed foam.
And since this tank is integrating water with land, the best way to symbolize that is to build a working waterfall, which I think I'm gonna do right here.
Yep, you heard that right. So I started stacking rocks along this corner here because this is going to be the hill where the waterfall will flow from.
Now you might expect to make the waterfall work, it'll be complex, but all you need in reality is this little water pump thing.
Basically, you just put that pump in the back corner and surround the extra space around it with some filter floss, which will make the waterfall also turn into a filter to keep the water clean. Then I lined some tubing from the pump up along the side of the hill, that way it was barely poking out the top of the rocks. Now you see, I actually did try to do a waterfall in a video about a year ago, and let's just say it didn't go so well at first. Hopefully that doesn't happen here.
Well, I really hope I set up the pump in here correctly, so let's fill it up with water so we can test the waterfall.
So I did that, plugged in the pump, and waited for it to start.
Why is nothing happening? It should be going. Is it broken? Well, it just went for a second. Wait, what? Oh, it's going again. Okay. Well, I mean, it's working. It's getting the water from the bottom to the top. So, yeah. It's kind of just splattering water all over me, though. I gotta turn this off.
Thankfully, I was able to change a setting on the pump to make it less extreme, which made it a lot more calm and into a beautiful flowing waterfall. So finally, I glued a little bit of rocks along the top of the pump to hide it and drained out the dirty water.
Well, thankfully, I got the waterfall working. So now it's time to finish up the floor and decorations in here.
First of all, I wanted to fill the land section with these clay leaker balls. You see, the two sections are mostly separated by rocks, but just in case a little water leaks through, this leaker should absorb it, keeping the land nice and dry. Next, I cut out some window screen matching the exact dimensions of the land, and then put the dirt substrate on top of it.
But this land area is looking pretty boring, so let's get the basics like some small rocks and wood inside. Then let's put in some of this fern moss to add some color. And this is a live moss I've never used before, and apparently when you spray it, it actually just starts growing really fast. So in just a matter of a couple days, the entire enclosure should be taken over by the moss. It should look pretty cool.
And finally, I put a ton of these branches on the wall to fill in the empty spots at the top of the enclosure.
Alright, well the land area is now all complete, and my favorite part is this little area I made under the waterfall. As you can see, it's nice and cozy in there, and the turtles will be able to set up camp in there. And now it's time for the water area, which is a little simpler, because we just gotta pour in sand, basically.
And after getting a ton of that in, I put some gravel up against the edge of the rock, so it faded that rock texture into the sand texture.
And finally, we can't forget more rocks, baby. Yeah, pretty much this entire riverbed is just made up of sand and rocks. Pretty simple.
Alright, the base of the tank is now complete, and after filling it with water, it looked even better, with of course the beautiful waterfall now flowing. I got out all the plants and put some of them along the land section. It was mostly just some small plants to add some greenery, but in the water portion, I put in all the water plants, which definitely brought the whole thing to life a little bit more.
And now the final step to finishing this enclosure is the cleanup crew. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second, but let's go to Petco. We need to get something that's gonna eat up any algae that grows in the water. And in this tank here, you can see there's some aquatic nerite snails. Yeah, those little things there. Let me get them in a bag.
And after getting those snails bagged up, I of course had to buy a couple containers of springtails, which I could put on the land and would eat any mold that grows in that moist dirt in the enclosure.
Oh yes, I'm happy they have these in stock. Let's buy these too.
When I got home, I first let the little springtails loose, and they all scurried around in their own directions and took cover amongst all the dirt and leaves.
But oh, now it's time for the snails. Let's just put these guys in, and there we go.
Now the reason I chose this species of nerite snails is because they can't actually have babies in fresh water. You see, a big problem with most snail species is they'll have like a million babies, which causes the whole tank to get overrun. So thankfully with these guys, that's not gonna happen. To finish off the tank, I put in a water heater, a water oxygenator, and some heat and UV bulbs at the top so the right parameters would all be met.
And of course the waterfall I built in the back should mostly filter the water, but just in case it gets too dirty, I've also got this tiny little filter.
Well, this place is now 100% complete and definitely is a big improvement from the trash I bought it as, and I'd say the enclosure is ready for the turtle. Let's get it in.
Oh buddy, I got a big surprise for you. I know I've kept you in this temporary tank for a day, boy, but it was worth it because because look at what I just built for you. Here you go, boy. Welcome to your new home.
Right away, the turtle climbed up onto the land to take a second to admire his new home. Then he jumped in the water and swam right up to a snail to try and start eating it, which wasn't possible, of course, because of the shell, so he kind of gave up.
Well, dang, clearly this guy's hungry, and I already know he has some crazy hunting tactics for worms. Let's just warm the turtle up to worms by feeding him some of these bloodworms.
Now, you may already know this, but bloodworms come in these little packets and are frozen. But when they're put in water, they start to thaw out and scatter worms all over the place. So I waved them around in front of him like everything else, and immediately he snapped at it and basically ate them whole. Out of everything I had fed him so far, it seemed like he was enjoying this the most. So it was time to upgrade them with some giant nightcrawler worms now. You see, what I did was let a few go down into the dirt on the land area to hide in there. Then I got another worm and waved it around in front of the turtle to convince him to come up to the surface. Once he was there, I waited hoping he would do something, but he kind of just stood there, not stomping on the floor to convince the worms to come up. I even waved a worm in front of his head, and when he didn't show any interest, I put a whole pile of worms in front of him, which he still didn't care about. I guess for some reason he's only hungry in the water. So after he jumped back in, I waved a worm in front of him again, and literally instantly, yeah, he grabbed it and for like 3 minutes battled with it to eat the whole thing up. It was pretty funny to watch, actually. You see, normally these wood turtles are supposed to do this: stomp on the ground, which simulates raindrops, which for some reason causes the worms to surface. And when they do, the turtle gets a nice tasty meal.
But I guess my guy's a little bit lazy and he doesn't want to do that. But that's okay because he's cute. Who's your good boy? Who's your good boy? You don't have to be scared of me.
These are the normal food you feed your turtle. Nothing crazy, but they provide some alright nutrients. Right away, he picked up the scent and ate one of them. Then he continued to eat a bunch more. In fact, he was loving it so much that I even tried to do some tricks with him by dropping a pellet into his mouth. And yeah, he doesn't really have a good reaction time.
Okay, I've got a little cricket doused in calcium powder, which I'm just gonna go and put on the land. You gonna walk out? There you go.
You see, the calcium powder on this cricket not only makes it stand out more, but it also provides the nutrients to keep the turtle shelled nice and strong. Now, at first, it was just crawling around the land, so I knocked it in the water where the turtle then ate it. I didn't even get to capture the strike on camera since it was so fast, but yeah, you can see he thoroughly enjoyed it and even ate some scraps off the floor.
Okay, this guy likes to get his protein in. I like that. But he also has to get his fruits and veggies, or I guess just veggies. But I'm gonna try and feed him this carrot. Let's see what happens.
So I waved it in front of him for a second until he gave it a bit of interest underwater. He went up to it and bit it a couple times, but each time he bit it, he would just end up letting go. I guess his bite wasn't strong enough to cut off the carrot, so I cut a little piece off myself and put it in front of him. He then bit it, gave it a little taste, and ultimately just spat it back out. He's just like me, leaving his vegetables on the plate as he swam away. Well, anyways, it was fun transforming the enclosure from what it was to this, which I think turned out really good. This is 1,000 mosquito eggs, and in just a couple days, they're going to hatch into 1,000 actual flying mosquitoes that I'm going to be doing the most interesting experiments with, like feeding them a pool of blood. Anyways, right now, the mosquito eggs we have are dormant, but all they need to hatch is a bit of water. The second a dry mosquito egg touches water, the embryos inside absorb it and basically come to life. And literally within only a few minutes of adding in the water, check out this area right here. A tiny little white speck started to poke out from the top of this single egg. Everyone, this is a mosquito larva, also known as a wiggler. And yeah, you can probably tell why they're called wigglers based on how much they wiggle. But over the next few days, this will eat food and literally evolve into a fully grown mosquito. It will actually be one of the craziest things you'll ever see. Oh, but yeah, I almost forgot. We don't just have one. We have 1,000 mosquitoes that we're going to be raising. And only a minute later, another wiggler started to wiggle out, then another. And soon enough, this tank was starting to get overrun with our new pets. I have to be so careful in this video. Adult flying mosquitoes are insanely attracted to light. I mean, they'll just swarm light at night. But I was wondering if that instinct starts when they are babies. Well, to figure it out, I turned off all the lights in my garage and watched what they did. Pretty quickly, the larvae actually started to rise to the surface way more. If you remember, most of the larvae were spending most of their time together, sort of near the bottom of the tanks when the lights were on. But yeah, with the lights off, they all like to be on the surface, apparently. Okay, that's pretty interesting. But now what I want to do is take this super bright studio light and position it pointing right at the side of the enclosure. So that way we can turn it on.
There we go. And we can see what they do. Yeah, let's see.
And literally the second after turning on this light, so like magic, the larvae started to migrate away from it. And they all started to gather up on the right side as far away from the light as possible.
Wait, so these guys are moving away from the light. Huh, that's interesting. The fully grown mosquitoes, they'll completely swarm light. But when they're larvae, they will completely avoid it.
So to confirm my theory, I turned off this light and moved it over to the right side. And immediately the larvae did exactly what I thought they would, and they went back to the left side. Since I could kind of control where they were, I thought it'd be funny to kind of just swap the lights on and off on each side and, you know, make them do some exercise. Listen, okay, I gotta train some strong, capable mosquitoes for when I put them up against a pile of blood. It's gonna be so interesting.
Dang, that is actually so cool to watch how they do that. And apparently they do this because they don't want to get eaten by fish, of course, and if they're in the darkness, then it's obviously harder for the fishes to see them. But actually, very interestingly, while I was doing that last test, if I go and stir the floor around like that and zoom in, you can see there's tons of what almost looks like just dead mosquito larvae that is just drifting around in the water. Now, I got worried for a second. I thought something was going around killing all the mosquitoes, but don't worry. I actually figured out that these are not dead mosquito larvae.
You see, what these are actually the old skin of our current larvae. You see, these guys apparently shed off their old skin 4 times before becoming a flying mosquito. Basically, just like how other animals will molt their skin off when it's time to grow bigger.
So of course,
not super special, but for when the larvae are this small, it works perfectly to crush up into tiny little pieces. And immediately after dropping in some of this crushed food, it sank down to the bottom for the larvae to start eating. Since the larvae were just born about an hour ago, they're still so unbelievably small that it's just so hard to see, but you can kind of make out the shape of its mouth if you look very closely right here. It's insane how there's a brain and actual life in something this tiny. Anyways, you can see they tried to eat most of this food, but it's still a bit big. So once it dissolves into the water, it'll become even easier for these guys to eat it.
But things get fun quickly because these wigglers more than double in size every 24 hours. So I have a feeling if we come back tomorrow, these guys are going to be a lot bigger. Good morning, TerraGreeners. I just woke up. The mosquitoes are probably bigger now. I haven't really checked though. Let me look. Wait, I haven't even zoomed in yet. And wait, you can literally see. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you can't tell by this footage, the larvae are so much bigger now. And when I turned on my camera to record them in detail, I was amazed by how much they grew literally overnight. The day before, this was the most zoomed in footage I could get of these guys. But now, the larvae almost filled up the entire frame, and look at how much more detailed they are. This black bulb at the bottom is their heads, and they're so big already, we can make out their mouth a lot easier, and we can even see their tiny little eyes. These guys are so cool, because you can literally see how their mouth works as a little boat motor essentially, and they can just use it to slowly drift among the water surface. Sometimes they'll even curl up and start sucking up microscopic food particles from the surface.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is go and move my lights back to the, the back of the enclosure, and basically that's gonna cause all the larvae to go and swim to the front. And then I can just leave my camera running for like 24 hours, and surely I could capture at least one of these guys molting to get that shot for you guys.
And so yeah, I recorded this for like 2 hours, and after thoroughly reviewing all of the footage, none of the larvae actually shed their skin, unfortunately. But obviously, I was not gonna give up. So I spent hours actively recording with my camera, watching every single larvae at the water surface. Apparently, they only molt out their skin when they're hanging upside down from the top, and after about 2 hours, I found this larva. You can tell he was about to molt by the fact that he was hanging upside down for a pretty long time without moving, and every now and then he would try and twitch to squeeze out of his old skin. If you look very closely right here, you can see his old skin starting to slide up and off, and this white part right here is his new skin underneath. But after watching this guy for like another hour, all of a sudden he just started to float down, and he fell all the way to the floor and completely stopped moving. Yeah, apparently the molting process is actually really grueling for mosquitoes, and there's a chance that they can use all their energy while doing it and die, which I guess just happened to this guy. Rest in peace, bro. But of course, this was not gonna stop me, because I kept recording for longer and longer until I eventually caught this footage. Keep in mind, this is literally the first footage on the internet of a mosquito larvae molting because of how hard it is to catch, so you can't complain about how trash this footage quality is. But anyways, you can see it started to shake violently, and it started to slide out of its old skin. This dark part is his new skin, and eventually he was able to fully slide out, and only his molt was left behind. It's so cool to watch this happen, happen, and after it does, the new larvae swims away and leaves the old skin behind, which that skin will probably get eaten by another larvae very soon for some protein.
Let's go. I'm so happy we just got to see that. But in fact, I just spent so long trying to get that shot that almost all of our larvae now are pretty much fully grown, meaning yes, we're about to have 1,000 mosquitoes hatching in just a matter of days.
Now thankfully, I had this big tank sitting in my garage, which would actually be a perfect fit to put over our current tank, so when the mosquitoes hatch, they won't be able to just fly away. But obviously, there's a big opening on the bottom, which would be bad if we had to move this, all the mosquitoes would get out. So what I did was put our current tank in here while the big one was sideways. And then I got this piece of clear acrylic that I'm gonna be able to attach to the front. And when I attach this piece of acrylic, it's gonna make sure no mosquitoes can get out. But you're probably wondering why I got all these massive holes right here. Well, what I'm gonna do is this. And as you can see, I just put mesh in each of the corners so, you know, air can get in. But I left this hole open in the middle so I can put a little door here so we'll be able to put stuff in, but mosquitoes won't be able to get out. It's pretty simple to make though, because all we gotta do is attach this little sleeve contraption I made and put a clamp on the end.
Basically how it works is if you want to put your arm inside, you go ahead and take off the safety clamp like that. And basically what you do is while you're holding it still, you gotta carefully stretch your arm inside, and then boom, when it's around your arm, it's very airtight and you can go ahead and put your arm inside. And you see I have access to here and the mosquitoes won't be able to get out, and it's very easy to go and take my arm out, keep it shut, and then I can go and put the clamp back on.
And after I had my dad silicone the acrylic on, boom, this containment system is done. But guys, there's actually something I didn't tell you about these mosquitoes. In their life cycles, there's a whole nother stage of life before becoming mosquitoes that lasts about a day. And when I came back the next day to my tank, I noticed they were already entering it.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at what I just saw. Take a look at the larvae in here. You see these little circular things swimming around next to the actual larvae? Those are the pupae, and that means they're about to hatch.
You see, these pupae are also called tumblers because, well, they tumble down when they sense potential danger nearby. But the coolest thing is how these guys look. They got these weird, scary looking eyes. They got little horns that act as snorkels for oxygen. And of course, they look way different from a larva with that cool shrimp-shaped body. And if you're wondering how it looks when a larva turns into a pupae, well, this awesome footage from Backyard Bugs shows it. Basically, the skin splits at the thorax area, and very similarly to how the larvae molt, the new pupae will slide out, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yes, sir. These guys are so cool, but we haven't even got to see the coolest part. I actually have a jar of blood from a cow. Oh my gosh.
Now, in order to make this have a chance to work, I had to fill up this little container with a bunch of blood, and then I put some saran wrap on top. This way, the mosquitoes could stick their little mouthpiece through it and get filled up with blood if they're hungry. Finally, I just warmed it up in the microwave so it would recreate the temperature that mosquitoes like, and I put it inside the tank. Let's see what these mosquitoes do. Now, for the first like 20 minutes, pretty much none of the 100 mosquitoes were interested. They were kind of just hiding around and not moving much, so I kept trying tons of new stuff, like dimming the lights, because apparently mosquitoes don't like to eat under the bright light. And after trying so much stuff and recording for hours, not a singular mosquito tried to eat this blood. And this cool footage, you can see mosquitoes literally only take a couple seconds to land on an arm and get completely filled up with blood. But for some reason, they only like to drink blood from arms and not just liquid blood, apparently, like we have here. Literally all the mosquitoes had gathered up on the other side of the enclosure to avoid it.
Yeah, I literally just tried to record this for 2 days. None of the mosquitoes were interested. I don't think that shot's gonna be too hard to get because we're on like day 8, and check what has just started to hatch. Yep, that is a mosquito, meaning there's like 3 mosquitoes in here right now, so it shouldn't be long till we have much more.
You see, the pupae get darker and darker as they get closer to turning into a mosquito. So since this pupae is bright white, I know he won't be hatching anytime soon, but these pupae here are extremely dark, meaning the mosquito is right under that skin, ready to crawl out.
So to make the shot even easier to get, I'm gonna suck all the darkest pupae up into this little pipette and put them in this container to make it easier to record.
Now, since the mosquitoes have already started to hatch, I actually had to use the door I made to get my hand inside so they wouldn't escape, and I used my little pipette to start sucking up as many of the dark pupae as I could. Then I put them into a temporary container and I started to film. Thankfully, the pupae hatched within only a few hours of turning black, so it was literally only about an hour of recording till I caught this on camera. Out of nowhere, this pupa here started to straighten out its tail. This makes a little tunnel here for the head of the mosquito to start squeezing out. It's so nasty, but you can see how this area here just keeps inflating. The mosquito is literally being born in front of our outer eyes, and you can see how it's leaving the clear pupa skin behind. All of a sudden, his little mouth pops out here that they use to suck blood, and soon after, you can see his wings popped out as well.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is insane. Wait, this is happening right now.
Finally, the legs stop sticking to the body, and bada bing, bada boom, that's how a mosquito is born. They'll basically stand here for like half an hour while they wait for their body and wings to harden up.
Unfortunately, I am not allowed to just let this guy fly out. Yeah, when you hatch mosquitoes in your house, it is just illegal to let them escape. So I'm gonna try and move them into this tank, but if I can't do it, I do have this here.
But thankfully, I didn't have to use that since it was super easy to just grab it with tweezers and let it loose in the containment system. W mosquitoes, bro. That was one of the coolest things I have seen.
Well, guys, it's been another few days, and I'm proud to say we have 100+ mosquitoes now. I mean, we got tons just flying around. We got even more just sitting all over the glass. And that's not even to mention all the mosquitoes just hiding around.
Now, I can test these guys with my last 2 mosquito experiments, starting with sticking my hand inside of the tank of mosquitoes.
But in addition to my hand going in there, I've also got a couple kinds of mosquito repellent. So we can test if these things actually work. I am definitely about to get bit.
So I started to apply the first mosquito repellent to my arm by spraying it. You see, mosquitoes are insanely attracted to the scent and heat of human skin, but somehow the spray stuff completely blocks all of those and messes with the mosquito senses.
Theoretically, when I stick my hand in there, I shouldn't get bit. Well, I guess let's just do this.
And as I stuck my hand in, I got very nervous. I hate mosquito bites.
They're flying very close, but yeah, I don't think they can even sense that this is a hand right now.
Yeah, I literally left my hand in there another 30 seconds and not a single mosquito even landed on it. When normally they would definitely be swarming it.
Dang, this stuff works good. If you need some mosquito repellent, I recommend this brand. It's not sponsored or anything, but it's pretty good. But now the second mosquito repellent I want to test. Well, you see this app right here? This app claims to literally make a sound that will repel mosquitoes. Oh, do you hear that? It's like a high-pitched buzz. Okay, well, let's see if this works.
Now I've heard these apps are myths, but as I put my hand inside, the mosquitoes weren't instantly swarming it. In fact, they were acting kind of similar to earlier when I was testing the spray stuff, even though I had thoroughly washed it all off my hand. Maybe these apps actually do work. That was until I found this when I took my hand out.
Okay, for a second, I thought this app actually worked. Now, let me turn off this ear-piercing sound. But then I realized I actually got bit like right there. Yeah, I can definitely feel it. It's starting to itch and stuff. Don't use these apps, guys. I can assure you they are fake. Okay, I just got this in my car and I've got to take this home quickly to make sure the snake inside is healthy. And if it is, I'm going to revamp this trash into a dream home to give the snake inside his best life. I've got no time to waste. Let's go.
After getting it home, the first step was to, of course, remove the snake from the enclosure.
So I have this tool to grab it. I really hope the snake in there isn't venomous. I have to be super careful.
I obviously didn't want to get my hands anywhere near this enclosure since the snake could be anywhere, so I used the tool to try and take out as many of the objects as I could. And it didn't take long until when I moved this piece of paper towel, I saw a glimpse of the snake under it. Thankfully, after seeing it move, it looked like it was still in good health, so I picked it up to take a closer inspection.
Okay, come on, snake. Let me get you in this temporary tank real quick.
And after comparing the colors and pattern of the snake to a bunch of different species, I think I found out exactly what species it was.
Okay, check this out. This is called a Kenyan sand boa, and this looks exactly like the one I got. Okay, if this is actually a Kenyan sand boa, that means it's not venomous, and I should actually be able to just go and pick it up. Are you gonna bite me?
Now, at first, I was pretty scared to pick it up, but then I realized it was actually super chill and friendly and wouldn't bite me at all.
Oh, look at this. Okay, from what I know, this species is actually a super good pet, so this is gonna be awesome.
But the main reason I was so excited,
I'm at Petco right now, and let me just find the frozen mice section. Okay, here they are, and as you can see, they got all of these just kept in little bags like this small rat. But since my sand boa is kind of small, let's just get some of these super small fuzzy mice, which are like the size of my thumb. Okay, let me get like 3 of these.
When I got home, I let water run over one of the frozen mice to thaw it out, and once it was thawed, I took it out the package to feed to the snake.
All right, well, I've got the mouse here, just grabbing it by the tail with some tweezers, and let's just see if the snakes can go in and eat it.
The snake was somewhere burrowed in the floor, so I just laid the mouse on top and waited about 10 minutes to see if maybe it would pick up the scent or something and eat it. But after 10 minutes, I saw literally nothing.
Okay, well, clearly having the mouse just stay still is not working, so I'm gonna pick it up by the tail again and just kind of start shaking it up and down on top of the dirt, and I'm hoping this is gonna create little vibrations, which will set off this snake's predator instincts, and it'll come pop up, hopefully, sometime around now. Hello?
So I did that for about 5 minutes, and unfortunately not even that worked. But I think I knew why the snake wasn't coming up to eat. So to fix the problem, I drove to Petco again, and this time came home with a way smaller mouse. So I did that same thing with the smaller mouse and wiggled it above right where the snake was, and immediately this happened.
Oh, yo, it just ate it. Okay. I was trying to do that for a while, but look at that. That was so cool. It just popped up out of the dirt, and oh man, imagine being a live mouse and you have to deal with that.
And as you can see, it didn't take long for the snake to start expanding its mouth so it can completely engulf the mouse.
Yo, look at this snake, bro. He is just going crazy. I can't even film this. His body's just wrapped around the mouth. You can even see his mouth. Oh my god, that is so cool to watch.
You see, because this is a boa, they wrap around their prey to constrict it. Even though it is a little disgusting, it's one of the coolest things to watch in all of nature. First, to start this enclosure transformation process, step number 1 is to take out the ugly remaining decorations.
Okay, I have no idea why there's all this random stuff in here, like a giant fake plant. This is not at all what sand boas need.
So of course I gathered all of that up and threw it straight into the garbage bin where it belongs.
Then that leaves us with this. This is so bad. There's just paper towels as the floor and a random pile of dirt. Yeah, sand boas need at least a couple inches of substrate for the floor so they can go in it and burrow. So this is definitely not good enough. Yeah, let's get this out of here. And like, why is there just random like red stains on this? Yeah,
after taking the remaining dirt out, I had to finally get out a little razor and scrape off all these little piles of glue and dirt off the wall. I have no idea why they were there, but they're ugly, so they gotta go.
Well, we're back to just the tank now, and this is where things get fun.
You see, the first step to build the snake's dream home is to create the background. And to do that, I used some animal-safe spray foam to cover the entire back of the glass so I could attach rocks and sticks. You see, I want to create a mix of a desert and forest in this enclosure to sort of mimic the snake's natural habitat. And to complete that look, I covered the remaining foam in some sand and other foresty decorations like dirt.
Alright, this background's looking pretty nice and foresty, but for step 2 of making this a dream home is to put the floor and decorations in.
But before I can put any dirt in here, I first have to fill it with a bunch of these clay balls, and then cover those with some window screen.
Now, if you're a terrarium expert, you already know what I'm doing. Basically, what I've built here will allow water to pass through just like that, but not dirt. Essentially creating a drainage layer in here, which will stop mold from growing. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Now, for the substrate mix that goes on top, we're only going to use a little bit of sand. You see, despite being called a sand boa, it's actually better for the species to have this wood chip stuff called cypress bedding make up most of the floor. But I also mixed in some other brown foresty stuff to make it a little bit softer. Finally, I poured a few inches of that inside and covered it in a thin layer of just dirt to make it less ugly.
Now for the decorations, and as you can see, I got a ton of stuff. But I want to make this interesting to watch, so start this super cool, epic building decorations montage. Let's go. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But now you're probably noticing that the left and right sides of the enclosure are looking pretty barren and empty. Well, that's because step number 3 is to put DIY decorations there.
First up, the left side. Here, I want to build a giant massive tree trunk that looks like it has leaves and stuff coming off of it. And to do that, I went and gathered all the wood I had in my house into a big container so I could easily access it.
This is all just leftover wood from previous videos. Yeah, sometimes I buy a little bit too much, but today it's gonna have a use.
Now, I didn't have much of an idea of how I would do this, but I figured I would just start by using spray foam to connect little pieces of the wood together, and then I continued to stack the wood up to make it look like the trunk of a tree, and then I stuck some branches onto it.
Alright, this is a little bit looking like a tree trunk. I still gotta go and cover this exposed spray foam, but for now, check this out. It's just a bunch of carpet moss. And I'm basically just gonna attach it to the tree so it looks like there's a bunch of leaves coming off of it. Should look pretty good. Let's do that.
And so using my hot glue gun, that's exactly what I did. After putting the moss all over it, I covered most of the exposed spray foam with some dirt and then glued a couple actual leaves hanging from the tree.
Alright, this looks just like a tree and we're done. Oh. Yeah. Anyways, that means we can move to the right side DIY decoration. And to start that, I've got the base right here.
This is a normal cave decoration that you could buy for snakes to hide in. But I ended up getting out some real rocks and using more spray foam to attach them all around the cave. You know, I didn't want it to just look like a normal boring decoration that I bought. So yeah, this made it look nice and natural.
Alright, there we go. A nice little rock cave. And as you can see, it's pretty deep and dark in there. Wait, let me see if I can turn on my flashlight. Oh yeah, I got the light on and look at that. You can just see down in there. It's nice and pretty cozy. How about the snake's gonna like to go and hide in there?
But now for the final step to finishing this foresty dream home is to get some plants.
Alright, and as usual, I don't have any plants, so let's go to the plant store. Okay, I'm at the plant store, and as you can see, they got a nice, beautiful selection here. But I actually just need to pick out like the smallest ones I could find. Okay, here's the small section. Let me just pick out some of this grass stuff. Oh, I'm gonna get this little one here. And oh man, I was just gonna get two, but I'm just gonna let myself go crazy. Let's get this one too.
After driving home, I got the plants out and put them around in the enclosure. But after doing that, I still felt like there wasn't enough greenery, so I got some of the carpet moss from earlier and scattered that around too.
All right, and now to finish this off, I just want to put a nice heat bulb right there, and then put a UVB bulb right next to it. And as you can see, looks pretty good. Got those going.
As you can see in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it was a nice 90 degrees. And over in the cooler side of the enclosure, it was about 75 degrees, which is perfect for the snake, so it can decide how hot or cold it wants to be. Well, anyways, this enclosure has been completely transformed from that pretty trash home into a chunk of nature that I think the snake is gonna enjoy a lot.
All right, well, I guess let me just take these paper towels out. I've just been keeping the Kenyan sand boa in this temporary enclosure, and oh, look at you. All right, so I'm just gonna go and pick them up just like this. And welcome to your new home, boy. I hope you like it. Oh, and he's just already going straight into the dirt. All right, I guess I'll see you later, man.
Yeah, when I said these guys like to burrow in the floor, I really meant it. I don't know how long it's been since this guy's had the chance to be able to do it, but you can tell he was loving it.
Bro, I don't even know where the snake went. Oh, wait, now you can see its tail right there. But other than that, it's completely just disappeared.
But if you look closely in this footage, you can see the dirt slightly moving around from where this guy was digging underground. I'm happy I was able to give this guy a new home. It was super fun building it. This is a bloodworm, and it is the creepiest, most disgusting creature ever. It even has 4 venomous fangs in each corner of its mouth that you definitely don't want to get bit by. Now, I'm known for keeping the weirdest pets, so of course I found a website that sells them as a live bait for fishing.
Yeah, literally nobody buys these as pets. I think I'm literally gonna be the first person in the world, which means I'm gonna get to show off the crazy unseen abilities of these guys. So hey, let's just check this thing out.
And after a couple of days, a truck dropped off the package at my house, so I could finally check them out.
Here we go, bloodworms. Even as an animal expert, I am like pretty spooked about these. But anyways, let's just check them out.
Underneath all the packing material were the bloodworms, so using some tweezers, I carefully removed one to take a closer look. And yup, this is a bloodworm. You can see that they are absolutely disgusting looking, and their mouth is even able to extend out of their body like an alien. But at the end of this part that expands are their venomous fangs, which they use to latch onto stuff like shrimp in the ocean, which I'll be showing off very soon. Now, one thing though, I actually bought 12 of these bloodworms that I'm gonna have to keep all in the same aquarium. So yeah, this is gonna be a nightmare. Now for the build, I'm gonna put in some aqua soil and a dirt mix. Eventually, we're gonna completely fill it with water because that's how bloodworms live in the wild. But for now, I just put a tiny bit of water in to keep the dirt nice and moisty.
But I've already run into the first problem because I don't think I was supposed to add the water straight to the dirt. It kind of made it a weird consistency. And the water is just straight up black.
So yeah, I drained the water, scooped out the dirt, and I washed it off in the sink. Then I put the soil back in, covered it in a thin layer of sand, and added the water back. As you can see now, the water stays fantastically clear. Nice. This mound here in the middle will be where I build all the decorations, and I'll even be putting in some red plants, and then finally filling it all up with water. First of all, let's get some pieces of wood in here. And I thought this design of multiple of these burnt looking ones coming from the middle looked pretty nice. I didn't want them sticking out the top though, so I broke off all those extra pieces and planted them in the sand below to give the whole wood structure a more fuller look. Now it's time for the rocks, and you may think these are just called river rocks, but in fact, that is not true. This one on the left is actually called an elderly boulder, and this one on the right is called a black venom boulder. Now those are some cool names. Just wanted to say thank you to whoever named them.
But the best rock I have is this. It's actually not a rock at all. It's actually wood. Yeah, just like what I already got in there.
Yeah, it's called petrified wood, and basically millions of years ago, it was buried under the earth and turned into a rock over time.
But for this wood rock back here, I've actually got a pretty cool plan. As you can see, I've got a little can of sardines, which you basically just open by pulling the... okay, it just broke off. Okay, attempt 2. Basically, you just open it like this, and inside there's some like dead fish that you eat.
Now with the sardines, I actually went and put one of them under this petrified wood. I'm doing this because I want to test to see if the bloodworms have a smell ability and whether they'll be able to find the sardine under it, dig it out, and eat it. Yeah, that should be pretty fun to watch. Anyways, now I want to get some red aquatic plants in here. So I drove to Petco so I could buy some.
All right, I'm at Petco and I'm hoping they got some red plants in stock today. Oh bro, there's not a single red plant in stock. I swear they usually got them, but I guess not today, huh?
Instead, I had to drive home and go buy some online. Thankfully though, there was a ton of websites with some nice reddish plants on them, so I went and added a bunch of them to my cart.
And whew, it's gonna be pretty expensive, but hey, I say it's worth it for these red plants, baby. Check out.
Since I bought the one-day delivery, the next day I got the package with all of the red plants inside, so I took them all out and started to put them around random parts in the sand. Now, a few of the plants they gave me weren't actually red, they were very green, but it's okay because I was starting to like the look of how it was all coming together. I also ended up getting these red ruby crystals that I scattered along the floor of the enclosure to add a bit more red in here to match that bloodworm color, of course. But as you can probably tell, I've been keeping the two sides of this enclosure completely empty, and that's because I want to build some custom DIY builds on both sides that the 12 bloodworms will be able to interact with. First of all, on the right side, I'm gonna make a little cave they can all hide in. Now, in an old video, here is the finished triple-decker cave. Looks good, right? Right?
Let's just get this thing in there just like that. It may not be the prettiest decoration in the whole world, but a wise man did once tell me it's not about the looks, it's about the thought that went into it. And yeah, a lot of thought did go into this cave, okay? We can store 3 different worms in there.
All right, now time for the left side's DIY build. Now, of course, I had to start filling it up with water so the bloodworms will be able to swim around in there. But when it got to like 30% full, I kind of realized a big problem.
Oh shoot, bro. I don't know how I didn't think of this, but bloodworms, they live on the beaches of oceans, and the beaches of oceans have salt water. I've been making this a freshwater tank. I've been putting fresh water in it.
But it's okay, because thankfully in the corner of my garage, I just have 2 big cartons of Pacific Ocean water, sourced straight from the ocean. Don't ask why I have this, I just do. Anyways, I drained out a little bit of the fresh water and started to add in the ocean salt water. And by the time it was filled up, the salt level was 0.02, which is perfect for bloodworms.
All right, all the right water parameters have been met in here, so the bloodworms are good to go in. But because I put salt water in here, it does mean the $200 on freshwater plants I spent is gonna go down the drain. Yeah, these are all about to die.
Since they were all gonna die, I wanted to replace the red theme in here, so I got this heatless red lamp. As you can see, it makes the water have this red tint to it, which is cool, because you gotta have the water at least look a little bit like blood when putting bloodworms inside. Now, I also need to get snails inside of here so they can eat any algae that grows.
Now, luckily for me, I actually have this tank just set up with like 30 just snails in here, and they're called nerite snails, and they're able to survive in salt water, so that's why I'm gonna choose these guys.
So I got a few of those and put them inside the bloodworm tank. Once they got used to the water, a few of them came out their shells and started to move about the glass. Now, I think these guys should be safe from bloodworms because of their shells, but I'm not gonna give the 100% guarantee. So sorry guys if you get eaten by the bloodworms. Now for the final touch of this tank. And what I did is I actually went and found this cool picture of a beware of the dog sign, and I went and asked AI to change it to a beware of the worm sign.
Oh my gosh, look at what it generated. That is absolutely perfect. Wait, let me go print this out at the store real quick.
So I printed it, attached it to a piece of cardboard to make it a sign, and there we go, a beware of worm sign. I then even went and spiced up the enclosure a little bit by splattering some red paint along the sides to make it look like blood splatters.
And there we go, 100% complete bloodworm enclosure. And I guess there's only one thing to do. Let's get these bloodworms inside. Now, I'll just be starting with one, and then I'll add all the rest as I test more and more food. But yeah, let's just put this guy inside. Be free, boy.
And the worm kind of just sank down to the bottom and started moving around randomly. And yeah, well, this is kind of all bloodworms do. They just wiggle about, and occasionally they'll burrow under the sand, which is where they spend most of their lives. And as you can see, it didn't take this guy long until he started to do just that. But I guess he got bored of the digging, because eventually he just came out and started to wiggle about again above the sand.
Wait, before this guy tries to burrow under the sand again, let's get to feeding him some food. Now, this stuff is so smelly and so oily, I think he just has to eat it, right?
Now, I actually went and added in 2 more bloodworms to the tank, so there was a higher chance of one of them eating it. Then I did the same thing. I just wiggled the salmon around in front of their mouths until they ate it. But just like the fish pellets, for some reason, these worms were not wanting anything to do with it.
I'm not too sure if they're gonna eat this, but it's worth a shot. Let's put them inside.
But there was a slight problem because, as you can see, the fish food was floating, and I feel like the bloodworm isn't just gonna swim up to it, so instead I picked it up with some tweezers and moved it towards the worm. And as you can see, when I I moved it towards him, he actually went and flashed his fangs at me for the first time. I thought this surely meant he was hungry, so I started to wave the food around in front of his mouth a bunch, and yeah, nothing. He didn't eat it.
So hey, fish food, I'm gonna give a 0 out of 10. He didn't even want anything to do with that. But next up, out of all of these,
now I actually think bloodworms need to have their mouth part extended and their fangs showing in order for them to eat food. And right now their mouths are retracted because I think they're stressed. So what I did was I actually went and put all of the 12 bloodworms in the aquarium and just kind of let them do their thing. My thinking was if I left them alone for a few hours in the tank, they'd start to get used to it and then they would eat. After a while, I went and took one of the bloodworms out and put him on land. I waited a little bit for him to shoot his mouth out, and when he did, I grabbed it with tweezers. Now you can really get a good look at the fangs, and what makes these fangs so cool is they're actually made of copper. Yeah, like the metal you find underground, and they're the only animal in the world with copper teeth. I brought it up to the third food source, which is of course beef, and after kind of like shoving his face in it, he instantly bit down with all 4 of his fangs and started to devour this piece of meat and just suck all the juices out.
wow, it took a long time for me to get a bloodworm to eat a piece of meat. But dang, that is so cool when they do grab on. Because look, I'm shaking it. Like literally, it doesn't want to come off. It's like, I am eating this. Do not take it away.
So I went and removed the food from them, which was pretty hard. I had to like kind of shake them off.
Holy, that was actually kind of cool to watch. And it looks like you can see the little bite mark where the worm was biting. And remember, these guys are venomous. So there's literally venom. Thing with the last food source, which is a shrimp.
And once one of the other worms shot out their mouth, I once again grabbed it and this time put the shrimp in front of it. He also immediately grabbed onto it, and now these 2 bloodworms were having the time of their lives eating up the food. After like an hour...
Well guys, I brought my mom in. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, come on in. Of course, I gotta show you a new pet. Just take a look. This one's gonna be quick. You can see the pets in there, right?
Oh my gosh.
You know what those are?
Ew. They look like some sort of slug leeches. Look at all the little tentacles.
And yeah, actually, there's some right
Go.
So that purple right there, that's the mouth of the worm. And if you look very, very closely, you see those 4 little fangs on it.
Oh my gosh, that's so this is probably the most disgusting thing yet.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, and yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
I just found probably the most alien-looking creature on Earth. It is literally a mutant creature with the mouth of a spider, the body of a scorpion, and claws that look like saws. And that's not even mentioning that it has some of the weirdest and creepiest behavior out of any animal ever. But despite how weird it is, apparently there's a website that will sell you one as a pet.
So yeah, you guys read the title. I'm gonna build a home for one of these things and actually keep it as a pet. $20, let's just get it, oh boy.
And once I get it, I'll be judging if this alien creature is actually a good pet, and I'll even show it to my mom to get her reaction. Yeah, she's gonna love it. Anyways, after placing the order, they said they would ship it out in a few days. So in the meantime, to build the enclosure, I got out the tank and a couple big boxes of rocks. Yeah, I got a lot of rocks for this. This is because I needed them to start stacking around the outer part of the enclosure to try to make it look like a cave. You see, in the wild, tailless whip scorpions like to hide in between rocks because, I guess that's just where they feel safe. I don't really know. And to connect the rocks together, I originally tried to use my handy dandy hot glue gun and, you know, glue them, but the rocks were just too heavy and it kept collapsing over and over.
Oh my gosh, these stupid rocks keep falling.
Yeah, it wasn't really working, so instead I resorted to using some animal safe spray foam like always, and I covered it in a bunch of the big rocks and then a bunch of tiny little rocks, and I repeated that process on the left and right side of the enclosure.
And check it out. Hopefully you see the vision I'm going for. You know, there's a cave. We're making a cave. There's rocks on the walls. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool.
Now, this is a good start. However, you'd be dumb to think this is all I'm doing. I'm making this the best enclosure ever, so I can show off all the cool things the alien creature can do. It's gonna be so cool to watch. Anyways, the next step is to do the floor and decorations. And for the floor, we want it to be high quality and cheap, which is why I've got a bunch of these coconut fiber bricks, which are about to expand into a ton of dirt.
Seriously, these are so cool. You just add a big tub of water like this. Ooh, I'm getting that everywhere. And over time, it's gonna start to absorb that water and they're gonna expand and become a bunch of dirt, you know? And boom, look at that. It went from those boring bricks to this nice, moist dirt.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but you know, it's dirt. It's pretty necessary.
To top off the floor, I mixed in some wood chips, dead leaves, some moss, and a couple rocks. Now, apparently the alien creature I'm getting has the ability to dig burrows out in this dirt with its claws, but I have no idea if mine's gonna do that, so hopefully it does. That would be pretty dang cool to watch. Now, to decorate the enclosure, I got these super thin sticks and started to glue them along the top. As you can see, they kind of look like tree roots, which adds this cool effect to the build that makes it look like there's trees growing above this cave. Nice. And of course, this wouldn't be a TerraGreen enclosure without some plants in here, which, as you can see, I've got a few of. And if you're wondering where I got them, yeah, I got them from Walmart, as always. I love Walmart so much. Please sponsor me. Please, please, please. As you can see, all the plants are pretty small since we don't want it to look too planty in this cave. So I planted them around and gave it a nice spray down with my water spraying thing. Now, these plants are actually super important because water droplets will gather on top of the leaves, which will easily allow the alien creature to sip them up and get hydrated, which, you know, is good. You know, we gotta make sure he can drink water and stuff. But while I was at Walmart getting the plants, I also found this absolutely majestical stone statue of an alien.
Hi, how are you?
Because, you know, we're putting a tailless whip scorpion inside of here, which is basically an alien. So yeah, I put that in to finish off the decorations.
Bruh, this guy's got a big forehead. That's a real shame. Thankfully, my forehead isn't that big.
Okay, the first 3 steps are all complete, but now it's time to get some technology in this enclosure to make it stand out. It's this super tiny Bluetooth speaker, which I buried in the dirt and covered with a leaf. With this, all I gotta do is connect it to my phone with Bluetooth, and I can play stuff like cave noises, which is pretty cool. You know, adds to the cave ambience.
But of course, I don't have to make this speaker just play cave noises. I can make it play literally anything, like the most annoying sound in the world, 1 hour. What is this sound? What? This is so stupid. Okay, it definitely wasn't lying. This is probably the most annoying sound in the world. I don't think the alien's gonna like this if I play this when he's in here. Okay, I get it. Can you just turn off by now? Turn off. Okay. Oh, okay. Please turn off. Please.
I had to fill up this container with a bunch of water, and after it was filled up, I put it back on top and finally twisted this knob right here.
And now check this out. Out of the end of this tube, a bunch of smoke, as you can see. Or fog, not smoke. It'd probably be bad if there's smoke coming out of it. Dang, that is actually cool. Look, it just comes out. I don't know how a machine just turns water into fog. That's pretty cool.
Anyways, this is actually very useful, since as long as I turn this on about once a day, it will keep the humidity levels at a good spot for this enclosure. Also, it's just cool and adds to the cave ambience, you know? And speaking of cave ambience,
Let's go, baby.
so I got out a knife and opened the package up.
And oh, here it is. Because you can't really see anything. There's paper towels everywhere. Okay, hold on. Let me open this up.
I then very carefully removed the lid and paper towels to expose the alien creature.
Oh my gosh. This thing is gonna jump out at me. I have no idea. I'm just gonna close the glass though. Yeah, get that closed. Thank you very much.
Now, at first, it was completely still, and actually, I couldn't even tell if it was alive. But eventually, I noticed signs of movement, and then soon enough, it fully started to climb out of its container. Very creepily, it slowly made its way over to a rock to go into hiding. But it wasn't just any rock. Of course, it was the rock with the alien statue on top.
Bruh.
Well. I told you guys this was an alien. Only an alien would go under the rock with an alien on top of it. But anyways, as I said at the start of the video, I'm gonna be pranking my mom with this thing. But before I do something like that, let's just see what it's capable of by trying to feed it something. I don't know. Let's just put some food in here though.
And after doing some research, it turns out that tailless whip scorpions absolutely love crickets. And thankfully, I always have a bag of crickets. And immediately after putting them in, they actually all looked very happy. These stupid crickets really thought that this was their new home, and they were just going around eating moss. Well, little did they know that this home actually belongs to my tailless whip scorpion, and unfortunately for one of the crickets, it made a wrong turn. It walked straight into the crevice of the rock that the alien creature was sitting inside. I thought for sure that that cricket was a goner, but miraculously, about a minute later, it walked out the rock unscathed. A little later, I saw the alien creature in a different spot hanging onto a wall. And just like before, a cricket walked straight up to it. And in fact, this cricket was extra stupid. He started to walk right in front of the alien's literal mouth.
Bruh.
But for some reason, the tailless whip scorpion was not eating it at all.
Okay, it's the next day and I figured out why the alien creature in here isn't eating. It's because this species is partly nocturnal, and as you can see, I just have massive studio lights shining super brightly on here. I guess he just doesn't want to eat in the light. So anyways, I want to let this guy just kind of adjust to the new home for about a week, and I guess I'll just come back then and we can do the rest of the stuff.
In the meantime, here's this cool video by Aquarium Max Pets of the same species eating, if you're wondering what that looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, let's get back to the content.
Okay, this is the absolute best part of the video because I'm gonna show my mom this alien creature and then I'm gonna prank her. And if you're wondering how I'm gonna prank her, just take a look at this thing. It's basically a one-on-one model of the tailless whip scorpion. And yeah, I'm basically just gonna throw it at her. She is not gonna be happy. But anyway, she's not home right now, so I guess I'll just cut to when she is and we'll show her this. Okay, you can come in. Alright, so I just got a new pet, and I just want to show you it.
Okay.
Now come stand over here, and you can try and tell what it is. I just want you to guess what kind of pet I got.
Oh my gosh, it looks super cool. Where's it at?
Can you see anything in there?
I'm trying my hardest.
Okay, well, it's hidden behind this rock, but
Shut up, dude.
do you know what it is?
No.
If you look very
Wait a
closely back
second.
under that rock, there's something right
Oh
there.
my god, dude, I'm scared.
For some reason, she couldn't really see it, so I gently woke it up with a spatula, and here's her reaction.
Oh my god, dude! What the heck is this?
You see that?
Seriously? No,
See that?
no, yeah, that's alien and mindfulness. Oh
It's an alien in
my
there.
goodness.
Anyways, I have this fog machine, so we can put some fog on it, and that's pretty cool.
That's super cool, but seriously, where did that come from?
I don't know, the space or something?
Space.
Okay, anyways, that's all I gotta show you. Do you think it's cool?
No, dude, it looks so freaking weird. Yeah, it looks like evil.
Well, it's a good thing you'll never have to see it again. Okay, bye.
Now that she had seen it and left, I got the one-on-one model out and put it on my hand. This is gonna be really funny.
Okay, could you come back in here? I just forgot to show you one thing.
Oh my god, dude! Dude,
wanna say
Devin,
hello
no,
to it?
no, go away!
Yeah.
You're such a dork, that's not even real.
Yeah, it's just a piece of
Oh
paper.
my god.
What do you rate it out
Oh
of
my
10?
gosh. Whew, I don't know, I'm still confused.
Okay,
Devin.
bye.
Okay, 1 month ago, this rainforest was nothing but a barren wasteland. But as time went on, predators evolved and prey fell. Even natural disasters would ravage the ecosystem. But despite the dangers, some animals went on to thrive. Although it started from nothing, in every blank slate lies a tale waiting to be told. So here is the story of my 30-day rainforest simulation. On day 1, the beginnings of the rainforest were constructed. Earth was layered, moss was spread, and plants emerged. As greenery took over, our journey of life was only just beginning. Because hidden deep under the soil, something was alive. There were earthworms. These creatures are expert dirt excavators, helping plant roots spread. While they dig, earthworms also decompose decaying material within the soil, transforming it into food for the plants above. With just these little worms and the plants, this ecosystem would be able to thrive for years on its own. The ecosystem was falling apart, and the worms could do nothing to save it.
Are you serious right now, bro?
The ecosystem needed to be saved, as I still had insane plans for upcoming stuff. I had to introduce a top-tier predator to the rainforest, a creature that would demolish the cricket's population. Let me introduce you to the Australian white's tree frog. This fierce predator of the rainforest should do the job of eating the crickets perfectly. And as soon as I let him go, the hunt begun. Crickets were breeding. And while they may look cool, these crickets were very, very hungry. They were starting to eat every single plant they laid their eyes on. The crickets could feel its presence and they tried to hide. But it was no use. The frog had his eye on multiple crickets, and the helpless insects could do nothing about it. It only takes a singular strike from the frog, and with it he earns himself a nice and tasty meal. The cricket's population finally begun to fall as there was a new king of the jungle. Unsustainable once again, and along with this newfound peace, something else appeared. A thick and misty fog started to roll in. While the rainforest had seen some rain prior, today the forest was about to see its biggest storm yet. Out of nowhere, thunder appeared and the rain started to pour down. This would be a long storm, so the animals had to buckle down. The frog quickly retreated behind a log, while the worms burrowed under the ground even further. It was intense, and the winds even blew away some of the leaves. But after 2 days, it finally started to calm. As the rain clouds receded, it was obvious what they had left behind. A tiny little pond had been formed. And while it was small, this water would allow for an entirely new type of life to thrive. In fact, if we zoom in, that life is already visible. Springtails. All over the surface of the water were these micro insects. In just the few days that it was raining, these creatures rapidly reproduced all over the forest. But thankfully for us, these guys have no ill intent, as their main purpose is to break down organic matter in the plants and water, helping the whole ecosystem to thrive even more. The little springtails even ventured onto this log to clean it. But this sustainability would not last very long, as under this very log, something bad was brewing up. Over the next few days, an odd sound was continuously growing louder and louder. There was a new creature alive under this log. So on day 14, I lifted up the log to expose what was underneath. Mealworms were in full breeding mode. These mealworms are different from the earthworms at the start of the video, as their numbers are much larger. Because of this, they're stripping too many essential nutrients from the soils, and in turn, they are tipping off the balance of the ecosystem. The plants once again started to disappear, and by day 17, these mealworms were absolutely everywhere. The frog had noticed these new insects and immediately started his hunt. He tried to eat as many as he could. But it was no use. Mealworms breed at a rapid pace, and the frog could simply not keep up. And at this state, the ecosystem was once again collapsing at an even more drastic rate than before. It was time to introduce a new predator to our rainforest once again. Meet the green anole. Our ecosystem is about to be introduced to 2 of these cold-blooded creatures. And as a result, everything should hopefully be fixed. So I added them in. And almost instantly, they sensed the worms. Now, they may look small, but these lizards are incredibly fast, allowing them to ambush any worm they laid their eyes on. The green anoles sat on a vine, waiting for an unlucky worm to stumble across them. And while they were waiting, one of them even turned brown to blend in with the stick that he was on. It didn't take long until their first unlucky victim stumbled in. And of course, the encounter didn't last long. The mealworm population finally started to fall one after one. Our lizard duo had successfully saved the ecosystem. And as day turned to night on day 23, I decided to let a few more crickets into the enclosure to show you just how quick these green anoles really are. Within seconds, the lizards noticed the insects, and their tiny little eyes locked onto their targets. The crickets had mere moments to be alive. All of a sudden, one of the lizards dashed into his prey through the darkness so fast that I didn't even catch him eating the cricket. The earthworms, frog, springtails, and lizards were now thriving together to finish off our rainforest simulation. And on the final day, day 30, I woke up to something magical. Flowers had bloomed and luscious plants were everywhere. The rainforest was complete and our remaining animals could live happy together. This is an alien worm. It is an extremely rare worm species that has the insane ability to shoot slime out of its mouth to glue its prey to the ground. Usually, you would never be able to find one of these. I had received the so-called alien worms.
Yo, please tell me I did not get scammed with these things.
But I took out the packing material, and thankfully, these rare creatures were actually here.
Oh, it's the alien worms. Yo, I gotta get a closer look at these guys.
So I took the lids off of the containers that they were packed in and carefully moved one over to a damp paper towel. Instantly, we can see why people call them alien worms. They quite literally look like a mutant abomination between a centipede and an earthworm, and their skin is lined with thousands of these tiny weird bumps. But of course, the weirdest part of these worms was revealed when I tried to move it with my tweezers. Almost instantly, it turned around and spat its alien slime all over them. Yup, out of these two front arms, the alien worm is able to straight up cover my tweezers in this sticky glue substance that they actually mainly use to glue prey to the ground so they can easily go up to them to eat them whole. It's something straight out of an alien movie.
And of course, I don't just have one of these worms. I have 10 of them. This is gonna be so fun.
To get started, we need to recreate the alien worm's natural environment in this tank, which surprisingly is not actually some alien planet. These creatures actually live in the Central American rainforests. So I'm gonna be using some spray foam to make the background of this tank first. It's been a while since I've used it, but spray foam is the ultimate cheat code for rainforest tanks. Of course, because of the amazing ability to be able to stick stuff like dirt, sticks, and tons of other natural stuff to it to make it look, you know, natural. And once this background is looking pretty good, step 2 to making this tank is to do the floor, which is surprisingly important for our alien worms to get right.
But thankfully, that's not too hard to do, because basically all we gotta do is just take some of these clay balls and pour it in like that. Then once that's filled up, we gotta get out some window screen.
If you're a terrarium expert, you'll probably know I'm making a drainage layer right now. By cutting out this window screen and putting it above the clay balls, it lets water drain down into it, but it will still let us put our dirt right on top.
Now, you may have noticed that whenever I've had one of these alien worms out, they've been on a nice damp paper towel. That's because this species needs constant moisture or else they'll simply dry out and just die. So that means for this tank, we're gonna wanna add a ton of this nice purified water down into the drainage layer so it'll just stay nice and moist.
But I'm not just gonna pour water in the tank, that would be boring. Here on the TerraGreen channel, I gotta make things interesting.
That's why I've got a Spider-Man water shooter to add the water. Yes, sir, this thing shoots streams of water just like Spider-Man's web shooter shoots webs. And yeah, this might be kind of stupid, but it actually makes sense to do this because if you think about it, Spider-Man sticks his enemies to walls with webs, and well, the alien worms, they shoot goo onto their prey, so yeah, this definitely makes sense to do. Okay, and I think it's out of water. Okay, I'm just gonna pour the water in normally.
So yeah, after adding in the water, you can see this drainage layer now had a nice healthy amount of water in it. This moisture will help keep the dirt above nice and wet. And speaking of that dirt, it's now time to add that in. Lots of people sometimes like to make their complex mixes of tons of different types of dirts and mosses, but today I'll just be using this nice old bag of jungle dirt mix. This already has a good ratio of all the different types of natural stuff that makes up the dirt in the jungle where the alien worms actually live.
There we go. Look at this place. It's actually looking pretty dirty. Yeah, you see what I did there? Dirty, because there's dirt everywhere. Anyways, in my hand, I have a ton of insects. Don't ask me how I got these. But you see, I have something I want to do with these. Basically, I'm going to dig a little hole here along the side of the glass, and then I'm going to bury all of these insects right there, basically.
You see, obviously the alien worms eat insects, so I thought by burying these down here, there could be the slight chance that our alien worms would pick up on the scent and dig down to find them. To be honest, I don't even know if alien worms can dig, but hey, I guess someone has to find out somehow. Anyways, this is where the build starts to get fun, because now it's time to do the decorations.
Yep, the first decoration I want to make is a cave made out of rocks. But it's actually cool how you make it. Let me show you.
Yeah, you may just think that we could just stack a bunch of rocks on each other and call it a cave, but in reality, there's a lot more that goes into it. What I actually had to do is buy these wooden skewer things and essentially start poking them into the background to make these little platforms for me to place rocks on top of. This essentially actually lets me create an arch shape out of all the rocks here that the alien worms will be able to walk under. Then we basically glue all these together with some more spray foam. Yep, since it's black, it blends in pretty well. And once I covered most of the excess spray foam with some more rocks and dirt, boom, the cave is done. All right, but this place is still looking pretty barren, so I figured it was time to finally start adding some color around with this nice moss. Not only is it super beautiful, but if we leave it alone for enough time, it'll completely grow over the whole tank in a bunch of greenery.
Okay, for the next decoration, you guys might think it's stupid, but I think it's genius. It's this stuff. And if you don't know what this is, it is modeling clay. But trust me, I have a good purpose for it.
Because if you take a look at it, you'll notice how it's super stringy and almost slimy looking when I pull it apart. Almost very similar to how the alien worm slime that they shoot looks like. So I thought it'd be pretty fitting to start just stretching this around parts of the background and other parts of the tank to basically make it look like there was a bunch of old dried up slime that these alien worms had shot around the tank. And of course, right now this stuff is still soft and could be bent in any way, but in a few hours the air will harden it up and make it non-toxic for our worms.
Some people might say this just like made it look uglier, and I would kind of honestly have to agree. But also, it just kind of adds character, so I think I'm gonna keep it.
Alright, then I just quickly added in some plants because, you know, nature has plants, so I figured this would just help the place look more natural. And finally, yeah, I just had one more decoration.
Yes, sir, I got an alien statue to put inside. We'll put that right there.
Yeah, I mean, we literally have one of the most alien creatures that exists on all of Earth, so it only makes sense to have this in here, so I'll always know what's in the tank.
Now, before adding in our alien worms, there's one final thing we got to do. I've got 3 different life forms here of different animals I'm gonna add inside. Let me get them inside.
The first life form I'll be adding is very simple, but very effective. It's springtails. You almost certainly know them if you've seen my channel before, but in fact right here, I bought over 3,000 of these little guys that I'm going to release into the tank. Since we're gonna be keeping it so unbelievably moist, mold might start growing in the tank, but springtails eat mold, so it solves that problem. But I don't only have these boring bluish colored springtails, I also decided to buy a batch of exotic yellow springtails, which costed a lot more, but they looked a bit cooler, so it was definitely worth it in my eyes.
Okay, but this next life form is going to blow your mind. Check out what is inside this box.
Right in here, I've spent over $50 on a couple tiny little isopods. Isopods are a little type of bug that basically just keep your tanks clean, but I didn't buy just any regular old isopod. Say hello to the rubber ducky isopod. Yes, sir, these things cost like 100 times more than a regular one, because if you just look at the front of its body, it literally is yellow and has an orange beak just like a rubber ducky. So yeah, people thought this was cool and decided to just sell them for an absolute insane price. And honestly, I think they're worth it because they're super cute, and the fact that they keep our tank clean, I mean, that's just sick.
Well, hopefully you guys enjoy your time in the tank. And hopefully the alien worms don't decide to eat you guys. That would kind of be sad.
And now for our third and final life form. This one is extremely creepy because you see, recently my friend Flytrap Films uploaded a video about a weird alien mold that he discovered. In this video, he literally showed off how this mold is able to move on its own and literally eat decaying insects. And for some reason, he decided to send his alien mold to me.
And hey, we're keeping alien worms, so I figured we may as well try and keep this weird alien mold stuff too, to see if it interacts with the worms in any weird way.
So I went ahead and opened the package Flytrap Films had sent me, and inside I was kind of confused by what I saw. He had packed a dish full of these tiny pieces of paper with little yellow specks on them. Now, I'm pretty sure these yellow specks are the slime molds. And because they grow at a rapid pace, it shouldn't be very long until ours come alive.
So I'm pretty sure to make this alien mold come alive, we literally just plop the specks of it on this little dish, just like that, and then we put this oat right on the other side, so they'll have something to eat. All right, let's see if these start moving.
So yeah, I just left my camera recording, and it only took about 30 minutes until one decided to wake up. Out of nowhere, this one at the bottom left started to pulsate its yellow body like crazy, and then it slowly started to grow off of the edge of the piece of paper it was on, and it started to walk towards the oat I had put inside. Yup, I have no clue how a literal mold is able to walk, let alone find food sources to swarm and eat. But after the mold got to eat a bit of this oat, it got enough energy to grow upwards towards the middle mold to merge with that and grow even stronger.
Oh my gosh, I just woke up, guys, and look at this alien mold, what it's doing right now. Not only has it moved so much, but it's going to the other alien molds to, like, eat them. Nah.
The alien slime mold kept merging around with more of the molds and eating more oats. And as I kept watching, unfortunately, the dish kept getting all condensated and stuff, and basically blocked my view from getting all the interesting shots. But thankfully, we could still see some of the growth on the sides of the condensation, and you can see how active it was under there.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at this alien mold. It is so crazy how much it is able to just completely devour these oats.
And yeah, considering this thing started as a little tiny piece of mold and eventually got this big, it tells me that if it escapes into this tank, it might grow large enough to cover the entire thing.
So, of course, I'll be going ahead and putting this alien mold in the cave like that so it can continue growing. And of course, at the end of the video, I'll be seeing if the alien worms interact with it in any sort of weird way.
Anyways, this tank is now completely finished and ready for our alien worms so we can learn all about them.
All right, let's get these alien worms in. Now, if you remember, I was moving them with tweezers earlier, but that was causing them to spit their slime at me, which I don't want them to have to do in defense since it probably stresses them out. So instead, I'm gonna try and gather them up with this spoon so the squeezing doesn't spook them.
So I went ahead and gathered them all up and scooped them all into their brand new enclosure. It's pretty cute watching them all be bunched up into a ball like this together. Apparently, a group of these alien worms is called a cuddle, which I think is pretty fitting. But as you can see, it didn't take very long for a few of them to start venturing off on their own to explore. Out of all the worms I had gotten, most of them were pretty decently sized, like this one. But as you can see, a few of them, like these two, were still super small babies. Which, I'm not gonna lie, these guys are super cute, and I wonder which kind of prey they even eat, and if they can shoot slime too.
But yeah, I just think it's kind of stupid how each of these alien worms costed me $150. Even the babies, even though they're so much smaller. But yeah, that's just how rare alien worms are. Please subscribe. It was very expensive.
Anyways, now let's let these creatures hunt 3 different types of food so we can finally study how they use their insane slime to attack prey.
Sorry, crickets. Yeah, you guys are probably about to have a bad time.
So I once again found a decently sized alien worm and put the cricket right up to him. Now at first the worm just didn't really care and was letting the cricket walk all over him, but eventually I placed the cricket directly on the head of the alien worm, and that's when it finally started to show some interest. It all of a sudden raised its slime shooters up and shot a stream of slime onto the cricket, of course trying to stick it to the ground so it wouldn't be able to escape. Now crickets can be extremely fast and agile, so this glue is extremely necessary here so the worm can essentially strap it to the floor. And we can see it worked perfectly because when the cricket tried to start moving, well, it was completely stuck here, and the alien worm started to advance its creepy alien mouth up to the prey and started to consume it. Well, that was until like 2 minutes later when it decided it was bored and ran off into the moss, leaving the cricket stuck behind.
Yo, did the alien worm really just leave the cricket? Wait, nah, he came back. Bro, I thought he left. Wait, bro, I gotta get my camera back out. I didn't realize he was gonna come back.
Yeah, apparently the alien worm wasn't done eating, so it came back so it could fill up a bit more. Anyway, since these things apparently love eating crickets, I decided to go around and feed the rest of the alien worms with their own crickets. And yeah, once again, you can just see how they shoot out their alien goo and just absolutely devour the prey from head to toe, sucking all the juices out.
Well, these things are a lot bigger and juicier. They will certainly eat this.
So I went ahead and located one of the larger alien worms and brought out one of the wax worms. You can see how the wax worm is essentially the same size as our alien worm, so I was almost expecting nothing to happen here. That was until this, when the alien worm locked onto the prey and it shot its slimy glue out. Now, it didn't shoot out a crazy amount, but it was enough for it to start moving in and eating the prey. Alien worms are equipped with these crazy mouths that have little razors inside of them, so they can absolutely decimate whatever they need to eat. However, you can see how the waxworm was not cooperating at all and was squirming everywhere, making it impossible to eat. So the alien worm decided to shoot even more slime out, which let it get a way better grip, and yeah, it started to eat. Dang, that is cool.
I swear, this worm is literally a straight up assassin. How is it taking down a worm that's basically the same size of its body?
It's sort of brutal to watch, but it's also insanely interesting because there would be times like this when this yellow liquid would just start to leak out of the wax worm, which the alien worm would just instantly slurp up. You'd probably like to see why I like to call these things alien worms with how weird they are.
Yo, let's go. It was actually sick to watch these guys get eaten. But of course,
while I'm thinking the bigger alien worms certainly aren't gonna go for them, we'll see what the baby alien worms do since they're so much smaller. So I immediately drop one of the flightless fruit flies right next to one of the smaller baby alien worms. And initially it seemed like the worm was maybe sort of interested in the fly, but it wasn't attacking it or anything. But that was until this. Did you see that? Let's rewind that and play that back in slow-mo, because if you look very closely, the worm actually locked onto the fly and shot its alien slime out. Yep, this string of white stuff is the slime that had actually managed to land on the fly. But yeah, because it's a baby, it barely shot any slime at all. But even though the slime had completely immobilized the fly, making it not be able to escape, for some reason our alien worm did not go up to it at all to eat it. And for the next few hours, each time I tried to get one of these baby alien worms to eat a fly, it straight up just didn't.
Okay, bro, I feel like if they were starving, they would eat these flies. But since these things are literally just so small, I feel like it's not even worth their effort to try and eat them. Oh, guys, we cannot forget about the alien mold that I put in the cave. Check out how much it has grown. It's like taking up the whole dish.
But of course, I wanted to see if the alien worms would interact with this thing in any weird way, so I went ahead and brought some of them over. Now, of course, don't worry, despite this stuff being literally mold, it's not dangerous in any way to anything that's alive. And apparently our alien worms knew that, because this one decided it just wanted to start walking all along the side of this alien mold stuff.
Okay, bro, even though this alien mold is completely harmless, I just feel kind of weird about letting this guy crawl on this, but I mean, I guess it's fine. Dang, I wonder what it feels like to walk on that stuff. It's gotta feel weird.
But yeah, nothing monumental happened. It was just kind of cool to see the alien worms be sort of interested in this mold. 30 days ago, I built a functioning beach ecosystem in my room. Throughout the month, these coastal plants and animals have evolved to survive the harsh seaside environment. I even simulated intense natural disasters to see how the animals would react. Despite starting as a lifeless desert, it was able to transform into a thriving, colorful beach. The beach's foundations were now complete, but everything still felt empty and lifeless. It was time to add in our first creature. This may just look like a shell, but in reality it's much more. It's a protective home to keep its inhabitants safe. After surveying the environment for harm, the critter felt safe enough to fully come out and reveal himself. A hermit crab. The crab immediately went up and put his back against the wall in order to spot any potential predators. Despite their name, hermit crabs are actually very social animals. So in order to make the crab more comfortable, I added in a nice friend for him. The second hermit crab was shy at first, but soon enough he came out of his shell too. Everything seemed to be going well, so I decided to leave the ecosystem by itself. One issue that I started to notice was in the moss that was supposed to represent a seaside forest. Over the days, the moss had started to grow at a rapid pace, and the beach was getting overrun. So far, I hadn't introduced many animals to the land portion of the beach, so this was the perfect opportunity. Crickets. These insects will be a good choice, as not only do they love to eat moss, but they also wouldn't interfere with anything in the water. I added in a couple around the mossy area, and they got straight to work eating the excess moss. But one of the crickets had made a mistake. He had wandered onto the sand towards a resting hermit crab. Now, hermit crabs are usually peaceful, but if they feel threatened, they will use their sharp claws. The cricket was walking towards his doom. After a moment, the crab turned around and spotted the cricket. The hermit crab got closer and closer until it eventually gave the cricket a tap. But thankfully, the crab didn't feel threatened enough and decided to just go on with his day. That was a close call. You better get back to eating some moss. And had established their spot on the beach behind the log. But over and under the ocean, there was more life starting to develop. Not only had the plants started to grow, but earlier that day, I had added another form of life.
Two little watchmen goby fish were swimming throughout this part of the ocean that they called their home. But these are not just normal fish, as these gobies have the special ability to scoop up mouthfuls of sand, filter out the food, and then spit the sand back out. This goby here used his ability to dig himself out a little home under a rock. Smart. Not only does this give the fish a tasty meal, but it plays a crucial role in cleaning the sand of our ocean and helping the entire ecosystem become The animals and plants were all fine, but hidden on some of the glass, early signs of algae had started to grow. While it wasn't much, if left unchecked for a while, it could lead to an overall decrease in water quality for the entire ocean. Now, of course, I could just clean it myself, but that's boring. So instead, I have another plan. I went out and bought 5 of these Astrea snails with beautiful looking shells, and I let them loose into the sea one by one. These snails love eating algae, and when left alone, they will simply go around cleaning the entire tank. There is one problem with snails though, and that is they are sort of known for being extremely slow.
Bruh.
So to help them clean up any algae that shows up, I'm also gonna add in another creature that eats algae. Introducing marine hermit crabs. Now you may be thinking we already have these on the beach, but the truth is these are actually incredibly different from the hermit crabs we have on the land. For one, they're like 30 times smaller, and 2, these guys need to live underwater and survive off eating algae. While on the other hand, the hermit crabs that live on the land eat moss and these little pellets. The newly added marine hermit crabs will do a great job at fitting between the cracks of rocks and accessing places that the snails might miss. Plus, these crabs are faster than the snails. Okay, maybe they're not even that fast. I wanted to simulate an extreme seaside weather event to see how the animals would react. So, I turned off the lights and started to pour down rain. The hermit crabs were not very happy and immediately had to take cover under the large log. But despite the rain being annoying for the animals, it's actually very important. This is because over time, the salt water gets too salty, and the freshwater rain will even it out to the correct salinity level. And during thunderstorms at beaches, the waves also get bigger. So in order to simulate this, I added in a water pump at the edge of the ocean. The water was now moving fast, and the gobies had to hide under rocks to avoid the current. The hermit crabs in their shells were also getting thrown around a little bit. But thankfully for the snails, they were able to just grab onto a wall and avoid the extreme water conditions. After a little while, I removed the pump, stopped the rain, and turned back on the lights. And it was getting closer to the end of the 30-day simulation. But before the end, I wanted to make sure the entire ecosystem was self-sustainable. So far, we already had many things to do this, such as gobies that clean the sand, hermit crabs and crickets that ate the moss, the snails that ate the algae, and much more. But one important thing we were lacking was a creature that would eat dead organisms and organic waste that would otherwise pollute the water. So in order to solve this, I added in a new creature. Introducing the camel shrimp. This is by far the coolest looking animal I'm adding into the ocean because, I mean, just look at it. The shrimp immediately felt comfortable enough to explore around his new home, and along the way, he encountered one of the hermit crabs. The little crab seemed to be scared at first and hid in his shell, but soon enough, the two creatures seemed to become friends. The shrimp quickly became the king of the ocean. Wherever he walked, the other animals like fish would move out of his way. But soon enough, the shrimp found a nice cozy spot on this rock to take a rest. Day 29 was now here, but our simulation wasn't over yet, as now I was going to add in our final life and finish off our beach ecosystem. To make space for what I was gonna add, I had to remove this bit of seaweed. And in its place, I put a beautiful piece of coral. Okay, it's not very beautiful yet, but in a few days, once it's adjusted to the water, it'll become alive and colorful. Now, coral isn't just a plant or a rock. It's actually home to hundreds of these extremely tiny animals called polyps. Polyps produce a chemical called calcium carbonate, which helps the coral they live on survive. I'll just have to leave this coral here over the next few days until it fully lights up and comes alive.
On day 30, every animal, including the hermit crabs, gobies, snails, marine crabs, crickets, shrimp, and plants, were now living in peace with one another in a self-sustainable ecosystem. I've gathered the craziest animal videos on the internet. Here they are. For our first crazy video, these guys were exploring a beach cave when this happened. Yeah, they got absolutely pummeled by a bajillion flies. Like, bro, what do you even do in that situation? You probably accidentally breathe in so many of those flies. Hey, I guess it's a little bit of extra protein. Okay, you are about to see a bear go above and beyond for a meal, because apparently there's a little worm bug thing in the soil under this tree. And when the bear saw it, he walked up to the tree and he did this. Yeah, bro literally started to knock down the tree until he literally did knock down the tree. And then he proceeded to dig through the rubble for this meal. Good job, bro. Hopefully that was worth the effort for the worm. Nice. Okay, someone has to explain this video in the comments to me because it makes no sense. Obviously, you can see a bird in front of an iPad, but then this bird starts to use the iPad like a human can. And it starts swiping through the pictures, not randomly or anything. Like, actually, this bird knows what it's doing on the iPad. And eventually, he gets to a picture of a sandwich and literally zooms in on it. And he starts doing a happy dance because apparently he loves sandwiches. What? I genuinely think this bird might be smarter than me. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, I know the quality on this video is so trash, but it's literally because it's just so insane. Because if you look closely, this is a bee and this is a nail. And this bee is pulling the nail out of the wall. Yeah, and that's like the whole video. Like, is that not insane how a bee is pulling a nail out of the wall? This is either the strongest bee ever, or this is the weakest nail ever. Anyways, yeah, he pulled it out so you could go inside the hole. It's actually very smart. Okay, I feel like something could go terribly wrong in this video, because if you can't already tell, this is a real bear just sitting casually on a motorcycle with some humans. Yeah, but the craziest thing is, this bear starts to blow a horn. Nah, they trained this bear to be the car horn. Yeah, but I'm not sure why everyone here is just acting so casually. I mean, I guess this is Russia. I don't know if this is just a normal everyday thing there, but yeah, pretty crazy. Okay, so this may just look like a fun home video of people who found a dancing bug.
I think we should get music to go to
But oh, this is not a friendly bug. It's a toe biter, and trust me, I've made a video on getting these guys as a pet, and I know they are not friendly. So that's why I wasn't surprised when this happened. Okay, bro, I just thought that scream was too funny to not show. Let's see that one more time. This might be the most evil pet owner ever, because look at this.
Rocks, paper, scissors.
He taught his bird to say rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then he put him in front of a mirror to infinitely play rock, paper, scissors with himself. So yeah, this bird is in a never-ending game of rock, paper, scissors. Is anyone gonna tell him he's playing against himself? Okay, I'm not sure what's up with bears acting like humans in this video, because this security camera caught a bear that walked up to this family's car, and for some reason it got up on its hind legs like a human, and using its arms, it just opened the car door casually and started rummaging through the car. I have no clue how it just knew to open the door like that, but yeah, apparently it just ate all the food inside and then just walked away. Animals are getting too smart. Now, I found some pretty cool videos of shark cage encounters like this one, where the shark very angrily slams into the cage with its mouth open. To be honest, I don't know why people willingly go inside these cages. It looks pretty scary. But if you didn't know, the clips just get crazier and crazier as the video goes on. So obviously in this next clip, the shark that attacked the cage was even more aggressive. The shark grabbed onto the cage sideways and literally would not let go. Everyone was screaming inside, but don't worry, I think they're all safe because they were also laughing. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I would go inside of one of these cages willingly. Okay, take a listen to what this guy has to say real quick.
We've got our friendly neighborhood spider who's chilling over here. And the cockroach.
Yeah, I thought this video was so crazy because it shows why Australians actually love keeping these giant spiders in their house. Because in it, he catches a cockroach from the shower to demonstrate how good these spiders are at hunting. Yep, within like half a second, the spider pounced onto the cockroach and started to devour it. So basically, having these things in your house is like a built-in pest control. As long as you're fine with seeing giant spiders every now and then, which I definitely would not be okay with. Now you might be wondering, why on earth is a snake slithering on a power line? Well, apparently this snake saw some birds up on this power line, so somehow he got up onto here and is now absolutely risking his life to get a meal. I mean, I know some snakes are good climbers, but this has got to be extra risky considering there's no extra tree branches for him to grab onto if he falls. And yeah, I'm not sure what the snake was expecting because birds do actually have wings. Every time the snake got close, the birds kind of just flew away. Yeah, well, good luck getting down, bro, because I have no clue how you even got up here. Okay, and earlier I showed shark encounters from inside cages, but now we got shark encounters outside a cage, and this is where things could go seriously wrong. But thankfully, these were trained professionals under the water, so when the sharks started to show signs of aggression, they knew exactly what to do. You see, the sharks kept advancing towards the divers, and they had to actually keep pushing them away with their hands. And eventually, this shark went up to this diver and actually started to take bites at him. The diver quickly tried to use all of his strength to push back the shark, and thankfully after a bit, the shark actually did back off. Dang, that was a close call, but thankfully the diver stayed calm and did everything. I'll just let this guy explain this next clip.
Hey, y'all want to see the coolest bottle opener in the world?
Yeah, so basically this dude is holding a mouse in one hand and a glass bottle in the other. He then goes and puts the mouse on top of the bottle, holds the bottle up, and nature does its thing.
Break time!
Like, what the heck is going on? This is genuinely pure chaos. Whistles, screaming, car horns, and a billion bugs. Nah, bro, never put me in this situation. Okay, this video basically shows an orangutan from a zoo interacting with a dog. And you won't believe how locked in this dog gets at the orangutan. Because for some reason, the orangutan starts to try and annoy the dog by banging on the glass, which gets the dog so mad. Yeah, this dude looks like he wants blood. And the best part is when the orangutan starts to put a stick through the hole in the glass to tease the dog, but the dog doesn't even budge at this point because he's had enough of this monkey's rage bait. What an interesting interaction. I would be so mad because you can see he puts his GoPro camera up to this octopus to try and get some cool footage. But if we switch to the GoPro's view, we can see things quickly started to go wrong because the octopus started to climb out of its hole and actually put one of his tentacles onto the camera. But he didn't stop there because he then completely climbed onto the GoPro so the diver couldn't record anything anymore. Dang, I guess this octopus was camera shy. But thankfully the diver had a backup camera so we could see the struggle he went through to get this octopus off. Yeah, it took about like 2 minutes, but eventually he was successful and the octopus swam back off to the sea floor. And it's cool because you can see the octopus change its color as it swam away to camouflage. This video just shows another casual day in Australia.
So the owners had come in to have their morning shower and found the snake curled up.
So yeah, I guess living in Australia means you're okay sharing your house with insane animals like massive snakes. But I kind of feel like this snake was just trying to get clean and take a shower. Like, bro, why are you removing him from the shower? And then even worse, they kidnapped him into this big dark bag. Wow. That is just, that's evil. Now, this one's actually pretty crazy. You see, this dude is an ultra hummingbird enthusiast. But usually, hummingbirds are impossible to get close to. So he built this super cool contraption, which he fills with nectar, straps to his head, and then the birds will fly extremely close to his face to drink it. And as long as he doesn't move at all, this just lets him watch and study his favorite birds for hours. Now, this is actually pretty wholesome. Everyone drop W's in the comments for the red hat. Okay, so we all know the story of the tortoise versus the hare. Well, some people actually recreated that in real life. Yeah, it might sound stupid because you would just expect the hare to obviously win, but similar to the actual story, halfway through the hare stopped to take a break because he was so far in the lead, but the tortoise was still going with all of his might and overtook the hare and eventually made it to the finish line to win the race. Dang, who knew slow and steady actually really does win the race? Next clip documents something not many people have successfully been able to record, but basically it shows a caterpillar being born. Oh, but not only that, because it also shows that same caterpillar when it went into its chrysalis stage. And yeah, I just think it's insanely crazy to see the caterpillar crawl out of its old skin and eventually turn from this green shell into a fully grown butterfly, which then eventually is able to crawl out from the chrysalis and is able to restart the life cycle itself. This will probably be the most monkeys you ever see in one video. I'm not sure where this was recorded or why there's so many monkeys just running in the street, but yeah, there is. So the crazy part of this video is when fireworks randomly went off, and of course spooked all the monkeys, causing them to go bananas. Yeah, there is a genuine stampede of monkeys. Are these guys just gonna live in the city now, or what? I don't really know. Okay, if I was this diver, okay, this bird is about to sing a song, and I want you guys to guess what song he's singing. Yeah, he's singing the If You're Happy and You Know It song. And the craziest part is when he taps the beak on the table at the part where you're supposed to clap your hands. Like, how do you even teach your bird to do that? I'm in awe with how smart some of these birds are. This video shows the most insane alien-looking creature on Earth. Yeah, this isn't fake. It's actually a super rare type of moth. But what makes this video even more crazy is usually these moths look like this, without those black hairy things coming out the back. But on special occasions, the males will inflate those things coming out of their body to look like this insane Goliath alien-looking creature. So yeah, this is super rare, and I hope I never see this. It may take you a couple of seconds to realize that there's a camouflaged mantis here, but that's all the time it needs to grab you and eat you alive. Yep, there's mantises that have learned to imitate flowers so well that they grow literal petals on their arms, all just to trick bugs into walking near them. And apparently I can get 4 different variations of them online to keep as pets. So hey, I guess let me buy them. Add to cart. And because of their fantastic one-day delivery, the next day I got the package. Inside was 4 little containers, each with their own mantis. There was 2 of these pink and white flower mantises. There was 1 dead moss-looking mantis, and also 1 black mantis, which doesn't really blend in with anything in nature, so I don't know why this was included in the camouflage pack, but I'll make it work. For the builds, I'm going to take out 4 enclosures and start spraying the backs of them, all of course with some spray foam, which I then covered in dirt and moss, and I did that to every single enclosure. I then even went and added some little spray foam mounds on the backs of each background so they all had some depth and variation to them. Now from here, I'm going to create the camouflage bases of each enclosure, starting first with the 2 pink and white flower mantises. For these guys, I started by filling up their enclosures with dirt and attaching some smaller sticks hanging along the back of it. I eventually want to get pink and white flowers all over this, but for now, we're just making the base. I then used some of this green moss to hang off the ends of all of the sticks. We don't want to use too much of this stuff though, because the mantises don't really blend in that well with it. Then for the start enclosure, we're gonna put in those same dirt and sticks, but as you can see, this mantis evolved to have more of a pattern that matched this tan dead moss. So this time I put a ton of that moss everywhere along the branches. Then for the floor, you guessed it, more tan stuff like dead leaves, some more moss, sticks, and pine cones. But I feel like this enclosure is still kind of missing something, and to be honest, I've kind of ran out of all of the tan materials. So I'm just gonna head outside, and as you can see back here, there's a ton of these like dead flower things, but they look exactly like the mantis. So let me pick off a few and take them inside. But you see, I don't want to just shove these into the enclosure because there's a chance that there's some deadly bacteria and parasites on them. So to kill all that stuff, I preheated my oven to 250 degrees, lined the sticks up on a baking sheet, and slid it inside. Basically, because the temperature is so high, it's gonna kill all the bacteria and stuff on here, so we can put this in the enclosure. All right, it's been in there for like 30 minutes, so let's just pull this out, and oh yes, it's looking nice and crispy. Maybe a little too crispy. That one looks like it just caught on fire, actually. Anyways, I put those around the enclosure, and then it was done. Now, finally, onto the black mantis's base. And as you know, this guy doesn't really blend in that well with normal stuff, because like nothing in nature is black, really. But I'm not gonna let that stop me, because I actually have an idea. So what I did was go outside and started to saw a few branches off of some trees. Once I had collected a few of them, I laid them down along a metal sheet as they were now ready for my experiment. Everyone, say hello to a blowtorch. Yes, this is real. Apparently you can just buy one at Walmart for $20 and you don't need a license or anything. I don't really know how to use this thing, but basically I just want to burn the wood so it's black. So I guess let's just try it out. So that's what I did. Basically the sticks catch on fire for just a second, which is just enough time for them to turn black. I also decided to burn them one by one in order to not accidentally start a giant bonfire in my house. I then put all this black wood around the enclosure and kind of just stuffed the larger pieces in the top of the sticks, and there we go. There we go. Looks pretty good now, but I think we can go even darker. And we do that, of course, by once again getting the blowtorch, and we're just gonna go along the background and just kind of set it to fire. Oh, shoots. Oh, I gotta be careful. To all of you watching, make sure not to try this at home. Got out all the plants and started by just putting them in the first 2 flower enclosures. But I still feel like I gotta make these 2 enclosures way more pink. And in order to do that, I went outside outside and went up to this pink tree I have in my yard. The flower petals all over, it looked like a good color, so I grabbed a few of them and scattered them along both of my enclosures. Now, when I put one of the pink flower mantises up to the flowers and let them climb onto it, it's almost like it completely disappears. Anyways, now it's time for this third enclosure. Now, if you remember, I got this plant for this enclosure, so I kind of just picked off parts of it and planted it along the soil all around the enclosure. And as you can see, this mantis blends in all right with this, but it's actually going to be mostly used as just a way to climb up to some moss where she really blends in with.
All right, that looks good. And now time for the black enclosure for the black mantis. And for this, I just got a green plant because obviously there's no such thing as a black plant, or wait, actually, there might be a thing as a black plant. Let me test it out. Let me put that leaf there. Turn on the blowtorch, and I guess just see what happens. Just start lighting it a fire.
And as you can see, when I burned this plant, it actually was turning black, but also had a slight side effect that it was completely getting disintegrated, and the structure of it all fell apart.
Yeah, I don't know if I could use that actually.
So I just stuck to my original plan and put the plant smack dab in the center of the enclosure. Yeah, it doesn't really match, but to be honest, it's kind of cool and adds a little bit of nice contrast to this burned wasteland look. And with that, we can now finally put the mantises into their new home and see if their camouflage actually works on bugs.
Let's see how these do in the enclosure.
So I went and dumped some of the crickets in and then put the pink flower mantis in. And right away, I noticed that maybe I had put too many crickets in because the mantis was getting absolutely surrounded by them. In fact, he actually looked pretty scared and was trying to just stand still to blend in and not get seen by the crickets. And the entire 45 minutes of watching him in this enclosure, I didn't see him strike a single cricket.
Well, I guess just any crickets are not a food source that baby mantises like. So these get a 0 out of 10. Get this trash out of here. However, there you go, boy. Come on. You gonna climb on? Hello?
Now, for the first food source for this guy, I'm gonna be using literally just the size I never get for my videos because, I mean, look at them. They're like even smaller than my fingernail. But anyways, let's put these inside the enclosure. Right away, one of the crickets started to climb along a flower. And I don't blame you if you couldn't see the mantis here because it's in its prime camouflage territory. If us humans have trouble seeing a mantis like this, I can say for a fact that this cricket definitely couldn't see it, and it made a grave mistake of walking too close. The mantis quickly struck at the cricket, but missed. But the mantis wasn't gonna let that stop him. So the next time the cricket came around, he charged up an attack and jumped off the leaf. Yeah, and that kind of just kept happening over and over. I guess they're scared of extra small crickets or something.
I still think there's room for improvement with this black mantis because I have one more prey I want to try and feed them. So I'm just gonna go and let this guy loose in the enclosure.
For this guy, I'll be feeding him flightless fruit flies, which is the tiniest of all the preys I've had, meaning it's probably the hardest to catch. But I've also heard mantises love flies, so let's see. Now, it turns out that doing that burnt wood for this enclosure was actually a good idea because the mantis was just chilling on one of the sticks, waiting for a fly to walk by. And after leaving him alone for a minute, I actually came back to a flightless fruit fly in his hand. It's a pretty cool shot to see the black mantis on the black stick eating a black fly contrasted with that white background. But I did kind of want to see him strike one of the flies, so I ended up putting him on a white lid and put a fly right up to his face. Right away, he struck at it, and yeah, he started eating this one too. Even though mantises are just some simple little insects, I think they have one of the coolest eating processes out of any animal.
This next mantis is a bit bigger, and I'm 100% confident he's gonna eat the next food source. Let's go and put him in the enclosure. There you go, boy.
They're fast and hard to catch, but they're very nutritious. The mantis ended up walking onto this plastic lid that I had put in the enclosure, so I ended up just putting the roaches on that. And literally instantly, the mantis noticed them and turned on his predator mode. Right away, he struck at them and missed. But he wasn't gonna let that stop him because then he struck again, and this time he got a perfect hold of the roach. Using their sharp claws, they basically hold the prey in place and lock them so they can't get out no matter what. Then with its alien mouth, it sucks the juices out of the roach while it's still alive. Yeah, it's extremely brutal, and the whole time the roach was just squirming its little antennas around, but there was nothing it could do.
There we go. That's what a mantis is supposed to do. So I think I'm gonna give the roaches 8 out of 10.
I found this website that will sell me a pet leech.
Dang, $20 for a pet leech. That's a bargain. I'm gonna buy 2 of these things. Let's just get this checked out.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, show off everything about keeping a pet leech, and literally let them suck on my arm. Yes, I am not kidding. I'm gonna let them do that, and I might get some unknown deadly virus. This is easily gonna be my weirdest pet. Anyways, until the leeches got delivered, I got out a 20-gallon aquarium and a ton of rocks to get its enclosure built. Step 1 to make its home is to make a rock arch. To do that, I got out some water-safe spray foam and sprayed the entire left side of the enclosure, and then I covered it with some lava rocks. You see, leeches spend most of their time in the water, but they actually have the ability to crawl on land like a worm. And basically, by connecting all these rocks with foam, I was able to build an arch here that I could cover with dirt to make the land portion of this enclosure. On the land, I put some very simple decorations like a piece of wood, some carpet moss, and a small plant to complete it.
Alright, the land area is looking pretty nice and small and cozy, and it's gonna be so cool to see the leeches swim onto the land so they can eat food and stuff. Oh, and also, if you're wondering where I got this beautiful plant, it's of course from Walmart. Gotta keep the channel's tradition going, you know.
Anyway, step 2 of this enclosure is to create the water portion. Now, I started by getting out some of this black aqua soil stuff and putting a layer of it down because it'll allow us to grow some beautiful, luscious plants in here. But first, I covered the soil with a layer of sand and started to scatter giant river rocks along the bottom. I figured it'd be cool to make this place look like the bottom of a river, since that's where leeches live in the wild. To finish the river look in here, I put some smaller river rocks around, and then I put some extra small tiny river rocks around, and then I put some extra tiny small river rocks around, which aren't really rocks anymore, they're just kind of like gravel, but yeah. Anyways, now it's time for the aquatic plants. So I drove over to the local pet store to buy some.
Okay, here's the aquatic plants, and I always hate buying these because look at this, they're so expensive. Anyways, let me just pick out a few that look cool. And yeah, this cart right here costs like $70 for 5 plants.
Anyways, when I got home, I used my artistic skills to find the most optimal locations to plant each plant, and by that I mean I just put them around randomly, but after putting them all in, it actually looked pretty cool.
Alright, dang, this is actually gonna look pretty good once I add water in here. And also, it turned out really good how that rock arch makes like a little cave there. That's gonna be really cool. I guess the leeches are gonna be able to swim there or something.
Anyways, leeches are freshwater creatures, so I just filled the enclosure up with some normal water, you know, pretty simple stuff, and in no time it was done.
Alright, I'm liking the look of this a lot, but if you look at the dirt, it's absorbed the water and it's super moist and it kind of looks like mud right now. Now, because the humidity's so high right here, mold can actually grow, which is of course not good for the leeches. But don't worry, because I have the perfect solution right here.
Inside of this container, I had some little insect creatures delivered to me for step number 3, the mold cleanup crew. These are springtails, which you may have seen before, but I have a cool idea for them this time. They're basically just super tiny white insects that I guess eat mold when it grows in here. And yeah, there's tons of these things in here, so I just dumped the whole container on the land.
Alright, I think it'd be really cool to get a time lapse of these little guys eating. And since there's no mold in here right now, apparently their second favorite food is yeast, which is like a fungus or something. I don't really know. You use it to bake bread. But basically, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit right here and we'll see what they do. I don't even know if this is gonna work.
So I waited for the springtails to absolutely devour the yeast up, and they were all kind of gathering up around it, looking like they were probably eating it. And as you can see, this part of the yeast kind of changed. I don't know if that's just because it soaked up the water from the dirt or what. I guess I only record the springtails for like 30 minutes, so it's not a very eventful time lapse, but this is what it looked like at the end. Now for step number 4 of completing this enclosure, we gotta put some technology in here like always to make it super good. Now first of all, I got out this machine, which you may have seen in some of my previous videos. Basically, when I turn this little dial, out of the end of the tube, a bunch of fog comes out. So I set that up on the side of the glass and let it run for a minute.
Dang, check this out. It completely transforms it from being kind of boring to like super spooky. And honestly, it's a little bit too much fog. Let me get some of this out of here. Okay, that's better. But you know, it's cool. Adds to the atmosphere. Leeches are pretty spooky. And you know, I'm going to be letting it stuck on my arm. It's not going to be fun.
Anyways, for the second technology, well, this one's a little useless, but it's cool.
Okay, so I was walking around Target earlier and saw these little robot turtle toys on sale for about like $8. And I think it'll just be funny to put these in the water with the leech, you know, once we add them in. But let's just test them out real quick to see what they look like. Okay, I got it. And I think you just like press these buttons and oh, okay, its arms are moving. I guess let me just put it in the water. Let's see what this thing can do. And, oh, it's moving. And it's just swimming into the glass. Okay, I guess it's kind of cool. Okay, it's not that cool to be honest. Well, let me put it on land. Let's see if it can walk on land. And, yeah, okay, can't walk on land.
Well, this enclosure is now 100% complete and ready for probably the weirdest pet I have ever got to be put inside, the leeches. So I guess just cut to when I get that package.
Alright, supposedly in this box are the leeches. I just got them shipped. I still can't believe we're going to be keeping these as pets, and I'm literally going to be letting it suck on my arm. This is not going to be fun at all, but it's going to be pretty entertaining. But hey, let's just go get these guys in their enclosure. We don't want them in their, you know, shipping box anymore. Let's go.
So I brought the box inside and opened it up.
Oh, nah, bro. The leeches are inside this little foam box. I do not even want to open this up.
Inside the box was a little plastic container with water and the leeches, which I moved into this bigger container of water. And well, here they are, my new pet. Aren't they so cute?
Oh, are you seeing this? This is so disgusting. This guy's just climbing up the side of the enclosure. They're already trying to escape.
But despite how nasty they were, I had to transport them to their new home, so I tried to scoop them out.
Okay, I got one of them up against the wall in this little container, and I'm just gonna try and scoop it up. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot, it's not going good. Oh, no, is this thing trying to escape right now? No, this is not the time. Can you please go back in the container? Oh my gosh, it's just on my table.
But eventually I got it back in, and I was able to put both the leeches into their new home. And right after dropping them in, it didn't take long for the leeches to start swimming around and be super active. Basically, how leeches work is they mostly get around by swimming around just like this, like how a sea snake would. But on one end of their body, they actually have a little suction cup so that they can grab onto walls and rocks so they can stay still. And of course, on the other end of their body is the mouth that they use to, of course, grab onto animals with.
Okay, as you guys know, these leeches get most of their food by sucking the blood out of other animals.
Hi.
I'm just bringing you in here because I want to show you my new pet. All right, so basically just look at its cage and I want you to guess what's in there.
Oh my god.
Do
Dude.
you see anything in there?
Yeah, it's in the jar.
Yeah, right
It's
there.
disgusting,
In the
dude.
jar. I had to put it in a jar just because
Is it a centipede?
a centipede is
I
underwater.
don't know.
That's a leech.
No, dude.
A pet
Dude,
leech.
no.
Isn't a pet leech cool?
No. Is it the sucking of the blood leech?
Basic, yeah, sucks your blood. But you know, we gotta feed it.
Oh, right. I see where you're gonna go with this not happening.
Yeah, don't worry, we're definitely not gonna be feeding it anyone's blood. But I wanna show you this thing you see on top. You can put fog inside.
That's neat.
But I don't only have fog, we also got some turtles.
Some little turtles.
Yeah, they just kind of move around. They're kind of cool.
Why is it in a jar like that, though?
Oh, you're wondering why it's in a jar? So basically, it's in a jar because I need to do something with it, and I need you to record me do something with it.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick the leech up and I'm just gonna take all the water out and then I'm just gonna put this upside down right here. And basically I need you to take my phone and record me sucking the blood out of my arm.
No, you're not gonna do that.
Yes, I have
no,
to do
we're
it.
not, dude. Why do you have to do that?
Because I said I would do it at the start of the video.
Oh, right.
I'm just gonna take the jar and put it here.
Oh my gosh,
so it does
no.
something.
Why are we doing this?
Don't worry.
No, dude.
So this might take like a couple minutes, I
For
don't know.
it to even get out of there?
Yeah, you see how the suction cup is on the jar?
Yeah. Here, maybe I can like it.
Okay, it could happen right now. It could happen right now.
No. No!
Okay, it's biting me.
Don't, why are we doing this again?
Go back a little bit.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Okay, it's biting me right now and it's sucking my blood. I feel the blood coming out of my arm.
Oh my god,
Okay.
no. Ew.
It feels so weird.
Does it?
So basically, it's injecting like a chemical in my blood right now to make it run faster so it can suck more blood out. Oh!
Oh my god, are you serious? Is this, can it really harm you?
No,
Does it do
hopefully
anything
not.
to you?
So I don't know how to get this off actually.
No, I'm flicking it off.
No, so you can't flick it off. Okay, so the teeth are like going harder into my body. So some people feed these for like 3 hours at a time, but yeah, I'm not doing all that.
Oh my gosh, they actually let them feed your blood for 3 hours.
Yeah, you just kind of want to like trick its teeth into like scaring it, you know, so it will unbite it. All right, and just like that. Get off.
Oh my god, get off.
Ah, it bit me again. There we go. Just like that, it's all fine and dandy. So that's my new pet.
What? No, dude, let's just throw it in the toilet.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. Don't worry because we got princess band-aids right here to heal the wound.
gosh.
And we got some cream or something I guess you gotta put on it.
Neosporin, yeah.
Okay, so first we just gotta get the cream, put some on there like that. Maybe that's a little too much. And then we have our princess band-aid. So we just take that out. Oh, I don't know who that is, but it's a very pretty princess. And boom, just like that, we just fed our pet leech.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there, you wanna try?
Nope,
Your turn.
absolutely not. No, or just throw it in the toilet.
And apparently Google says one of the best things to feed them is raw liver from the grocery store. And I don't really have any of that, so I guess let me just go get it.
So I drove over to Walmart and found some of that raw beef liver that supposedly the leeches will eat.
Dang, check this stuff out. It's only $2.44 per packet of it. That is why we shop at Walmart, everybody. And it does look pretty nasty, but I'm pretty sure the leeches are gonna eat this. I don't know, let's just go home and figure out.
So when I got home, I opened the packet up and got a little raw piece piece of liver out.
Alright, well, we got the beef liver right here. It's kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie. Slimy and everything. And hey, the leeches are out and about right now, so I think I'm just gonna drop it in right there. Hopefully it doesn't make the water dirty or anything.
I let the meat sit there for about 15 minutes, but the leeches didn't end up finding it. So instead, I just picked it up and brought it right over to one of them. Immediately, that first one picked up the scent or something and latched onto it. So while that leech rode the piece of meat, I brought it over to the second one, and that guy immediately latched onto it too. And yeah, I just let them go crazy on it, eating it up for a little bit.
Oh my gosh, these leeches are absolutely devouring this piece of meat. I gotta make sure they don't get filled up on this meat, because I still gotta eat meat. Can you guys come off, please? Oh my gosh, if they're this hard stuck on the meat.
Bed bugs are tiny parasites that hide in your bed and suck your blood while you sleep. A website that will literally sell you 10 bed bugs.
Now, I don't think these are meant to be kept as pets, but hey, $20, what could go wrong? Let's just buy these.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, document exactly what it's like to have bed bugs as pets, and literally feed them my own blood at the end of the video. Yes, I'm not kidding. I don't know why I'm gonna do this to myself. Anyways, until the bed bugs got delivered, I got out an enclosure to build their home.
Now, I'm pretty sure there's no documented case of anyone keeping bed bugs as a pet, so I figured out what they need myself. Yeah, all these supplies are for the bed bugs.
Anyways, first up, I started to pour some coconut fiber dirt into the enclosure for step number 1, the floor. You see, for most of the floor, we want to use this dirt material, but that's not it. We actually want to pour a layer of sand on top of it, just like this. You see, I'm doing this because bed bugs would be almost impossible to spot if they were just on dirt, but on the sand, I should be able to see them perfectly.
And I really got to make sure I keep track of every bed bug, because if they escape, let's just say I'm not going to be sleeping too well. Why am I doing this?
Anyways, I finished off the floor by creating some little sand mounds in the back that I would soon be able to cover in decorations. And speaking of decorations, for step number 2, we're gonna put in the natural decorations. For those, I got out some simple stuff like cork bark, spider wood, and some gray stones, and strategically placed them around in the sand. I even stacked a few pieces of wood in this corner and covered the top in some moss to make it look like a tree. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm an expert designer, as you could tell.
And all this stuff is gonna be perfect because bed bugs like to hide under tight little spaces just like these, which is also why they like to hide under mattresses. Yeah, it's pretty cozy under there.
To finish off the natural decorations, I planted a bit more moss around just to add some more color and bring the whole thing to life. Alright, now for the next step, it's time for the artificial decorations.
And basically what that means is I literally want to build a mini bed from scratch to put in the middle of this enclosure to see if the bed bugs will prefer to hide under natural decorations or if they really just love beds. So I'm gonna buy some fabric and then I'm gonna fill that fabric with cotton. Then I'm gonna sew the ends of it together and probably it'll look something like a bed, but I don't know if it's actually gonna work because I've never really properly sewed before, but yeah.
Anyways, I grabbed all the materials needed and drove home. So anyways, like I was saying at Walmart, we first just put down the fabric like this, and I said I was gonna use cotton, but I found something that would work even better, which is this giant like foam board. And so with that foam, I cut out a bed shape, then cut the fabric and got to sewing. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of just threading the string through randomly, and it ended up looking pretty trash, and eventually the string came apart, so I decided I would just do it the old-fashioned way with some tape, and in no time it was done.
Now of course I'm gonna put this in the middle of the enclosure, but that's not all I'm gonna do. You see, the reason bed bugs love mattresses so much is because they smell like humans. So basically what I need to do is make this mini mattress smell like me, and I have the perfect idea for how to do that.
So I got out my bike helmet, lined a little towel rag along the front of it, put it on, and started to go for a bike ride. So basically I'm just gonna ride around for like 20 or 30 minutes, and that towel I put in my helmet should absorb all the sweat, and then I could just basically squeeze it on that little mini mattress. Yeah, I'm a genius, I know. So I went on my little ride up and down some hills, you know, and when I got home I took the rag off my helmet to see if it would work. Okay, I think there's like a solid amount of sweat on this, so I guess let me just go and try and squeeze it on top of this. Come on, just get a little bit of sweat out. Oh shoot. Okay, wait, that's actually a pretty good amount of sweat. Dang, wait. Okay, this is kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie. And there we go, it just kind of looks like someone peed in the bed now, but hey, this should smell like me now. Well, now that the mattress is done, it's time to move on to the final step, which is a DIY technology. Now you see, bed bugs are attracted to an air molecule called CO2 because it's the same molecule that humans breathe out. And since bed bugs love that smell so much, I'm gonna build my own custom CO2 emitter right there, and then I'll test to see if the bed bugs like go flock towards the smell. I don't know, it'll be cool. cool though. Now to make a CO2 emitter, you first got to get out a nice large soda bottle and pour all the soda out. Well, technically you don't have to pour it out. It's just not healthy to drink that much soda. So yeah, that's why I'm pouring it out. Anyways, then you get the empty soda bottle and fill it up with some special ingredients. First, we fill it up almost entirely with water and then add like 2 cups of sugar. And then the final step is to add some yeast in here, which is the same thing you use to bake bread. Basically, all those ingredients I just added are gonna react and do some science, and basically, out the end of this tube that I attached, a bunch of CO2 is just gonna come out, and yeah, I'm just gonna see if the bed bugs go and smell it or something. I don't know. Well, the bed bug enclosure is now finished, and that means it's time to add those nasty creatures inside and be the first person to have pet bed bugs. Literally doesn't have a roof. Well, I forgot one important step, escape proofing the enclosure. But don't worry, because I've kept ants before, and I actually got this special serum for the ants that prevents them from escaping, and I'm just hoping that it'll do the same for the bed bugs. Basically, you just get out a little cotton ball, put some of the special serum on the end, and rub it in along the top edges of the enclosure. Alright, now even if the bed bugs are able to climb the glass, they're gonna climb up, and then they're gonna get to this stuff, and basically it's just super slippery, so they're just gonna slide right off. And then finally, I'm just gonna put this top on it just like that. That won't actually do anything because these holes are pretty sure too big. Yeah, the bugs could probably just fit through it. All right, well, here they are, the bed bugs. They literally just got delivered, so thankfully they weren't sitting in the snow too long. But as you guys know, I'm not exactly too thrilled to be keeping these as a pet because like I said, I'm literally going to let them be sucking the blood out of my arm. I don't know why I do this, man. But let me just get them in the enclosure I built for them. So I brought them to my table, cut the tape, and lifted the flaps. Oh my gosh. I think they're inside of this thing in here. Okay, I guess let me just get this out. And bro, genuinely, if these things escape, my mom is going to be so mad. And speaking of escape, you might be wondering, how will I prevent them from escaping? Considering the enclosure I made, opened the top of it, and dumped about half of the 10 inside of the enclosure. Immediately, one of the bed bugs started to scurry around his new home looking for cover and went straight into a dark spot under the nearest rock. But a few seconds later, I saw this bed bug and he actually ran straight over to the little bed mattress I had made. And after crawling on it for a minute, he set up camp in a little piece of cork bark right next to it. I guess the fact that I had made the mattress smell just like me was working really well, because over the next minute, I saw 2 more of the bed bugs just chilling on the mattress too. Dang, that's actually cool how they all just went onto this little mini mattress I made instead of all the other decorations. But to be honest, I've kind of already lost track of every single one I put in. Yeah, they're just so small. But the reason bed bugs are so small is so they can go undetected while hiding in people's beds. And when they find a victim to suck the blood of, they can literally get more than double in size with how much they suck. Anyways, bed bugs are nocturnal because obviously they feed on people at night. So in order to get them to suck my arm, I'm gonna bring my mom in here at night, show my new pet to her, and then get her to film me getting bit. This is not gonna be fun, but let's just go cut to then. You have to guess what pet is in there based on the stuff.
I'm gonna guess. I'm thinking a spider.
A spider?
A spider.
Well, it's a bug, and I'm just gonna tell you what it is. It's, well, don't get mad at me, seriously. It's bed bugs.
No, it's not, dude.
Yes, it's actually, it's pet bed bugs. That's funny.
That's not cool.
It's pretty funny. Okay.
No, dude.
Okay, so to attract the bed bugs, I built this little contraption. Basically, I just take that off, and I'm just gonna pour some of this stuff. It's yeast. But basically, this is gonna have a chemical reaction in this bottle, and after I shake it up, it's basically gonna produce carbon dioxide, which is CO2. So I'm just gonna leave this tube here, and we'll just see if any bed bugs come out, so you can see them. Wait. Do you see that?
Oh my god.
Wait. Right, no, there actually is one right there. Do you see that? It's like a little tiny orange thing.
Yes.
Oh, that's a bed bug.
Oh my god, you're so crazy.
But the good thing is you're not gonna have to deal with them because, well, I have to tell you something. You remember the other day I got a leech and I let it suck on my arm?
Yes.
I have to do that with the bed bugs.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay,
They
well,
don't feed off of your arm.
yeah, they suck your blood.
Oh my god, they do not.
So basically I've collected about, I think, 4 of the bed bugs in this jar. Well, I just gotta roll up my sleeve, I guess, and we're gonna feed them.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so, well, I guess let me just start. We're just gonna tip the jar like that and slowly let them crawl out. Okay, there's one on my arm right there.
Oh
Let's
my
just
god,
test it
dude.
with one.
Yeah, we're just doing one.
Just with
No,
2.
just do 2. Don't do any more than that.
That's okay. We need to get all 4
No,
of them.
we do not. No! Okay, put them back. That's it.
Why?
Because they're crawling and I'm not getting them anywhere else in this house.
It's okay, they'll bite me. So basically they can pick up the scent immediately of what my arm is like, and I'm pretty sure these 3 are already all biting me. This one's just the one that hasn't bit yet.
Soon enough, all 4 were biting, and basically all I felt was a little bit of a prick. The pain wasn't anything crazy though. But over the next 10 minutes, my mom and I would watch them fill up with my blood.
All right, so I just took the camera from you, and as you can see, I think they're starting to fill up. Is this weird?
Yeah, it's super weird. Oh, you can see them fill up with blood?
Yeah, if you look closely at their bodies, like you remember how they were super thin, now they're kind of getting a little thicker, and it should start to turn red soon. Oh, they already are actually.
Disgusting.
Oh, do you see that one?
Ew.
It's starting to
No.
move. That means it's done.
Oh my god, good.
So basically what you do when it's done,
All of them in the jar.
it's okay, we'll get it, don't worry.
You see, basically when they start moving, that's when they're done feeding. So I put 2 of them back in the jar since they were done. Then a couple minutes later, another one finished, and then the final one a few minutes after that.
All right, and then the last one is in its jar. We're done. That's how you feed your pet bed bugs.
Oh, right. Don't ever do this to anyone.
All right.
We've all seen piranhas in movies depicted as these crazy evil fish that will eat anything they lay their eyes on. But despite how deadly they're made out to be, for some reason, you can legally buy them to keep as a pet.
So I'm gonna buy 6 piranhas, build them a home, and test to see if they're actually as vicious as the movies made them out to be. Meaning, yes, I will be putting my hand inside of their tank. What could go wrong? Let's just buy this thing.
And so literally the next day, the delivery van dropped off the package. I cut open the tape on the box that had the piranhas inside.
Oh shoot, bro. There is literally piranhas right under my hand. Let me take this bag out. And oh, I cannot believe I'm gonna be keeping these as pets. What the heck?
Thankfully, every single piranha had survived the shipping, so I put all 6 of them into the tank. But when I put them in, I realized they were barely moving and definitely not acting like normal vicious piranhas.
And look, I can literally drop a cricket into the water, and usually they would go crazy immediately eating that up, but check it out. No reaction at all.
You see, the reason they're not moving is because they need a way bigger tank with all the right stuff inside. So I got out a new tank and filled it with 100 pounds of sand. We gotta do this because, of course, the first step is creating the floor and decorations. To continue this process, I started to use these sort of thin sticks and use a hot glue gun to hang them from the top of the enclosure. You see, these piranhas that I bought are red-bellied piranhas, which are supposedly the most vicious species, and they live in the Amazon River where there's all these roots and stuff hanging in the water, so that's what I'm trying to recreate in here with this. Anyways, next up, it was time to use even more wood. You see, this time I want to stack up some thicker wood to make it look like a massive tree trunk is growing from out of the water. So I actually took the wood out and used some water-safe spray foam to connect all the pieces together with some branches coming off of them.
And then once all the spray foam and stuff on it has dried, we just plop it in there like that. And boom, there we go. Check it out. You can even see the roots and stuff. It's pretty cool. It looks like a tree, but there's still a bit more decorations we have to put inside of here.
First of all, you guessed it, just some more wood randomly scattered around, but then some rocks because pretty much every Amazon riverbed has them. And finally, some pebbles like this, which I dropped around the enclosure, and some even tinier little pebbles, which I also dropped around the enclosure, which makes the sand across the whole thing look a little more realistic.
Well, I'd say this is a pretty good start to the base of the tank, but now it's time for the fun part. Let's go get some aquatic plants for this. Okay, I'm at Petco, and I'm not gonna lie, the aquatic plant section is looking a little lousy today. Pretty much all these plants are like dead. Bro, no way I'm paying $10 for a dead stick with a little leaf. But let's buy all the ones here that are alive like this.
So I picked out all the good plants and even found this little cool vine one, which of course I had to get to. So I drove home and got all the plants out.
Oh man, this is already the most plants I've gotten for a video, and that's not even including this big bag of leftover plants Petco had.
Anyways, I went and put each of the plants in the sand across the tank and filled it up with a bit of water. That way the roots of the plants could stay nice and moist while we continued building.
Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, this vine thing. Let's just put this across the branches like that, and oh yeah, check it out. It looks like a vine.
Well, next up, as you can see, I've left this little area here empty. That's because I want to build a graveyard here with a ton of skulls and stuff because apparently piranhas are deadly. So I drove out to buy some.
Okay, I'm at PetSmart first, and I found this skull decoration, so I'm gonna get that. Ooh, and they got a tiny little animal skull. I'm definitely gonna get that too.
So I bought those and a couple more decorations with skeletons on them. Then after getting home, I put some of the larger skulls around in the sand. I even replaced some of the rocks in the back with them so this place would look extra spooky.
Then with these tiny little skull beads, I'm gonna go and plant them around in the sand, just like that. Then I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of sand on top so it looks like they've been buried. And there we go, check the graveyard out. It actually looks pretty good. Bunch of skulls on the floor, all those other big skulls. Yeah, I like it.
And now finally, to finish this tank, we gotta do the DIY technologies. And for the first one, I started to set up across the whole back of the tank. You see, right now, this stuff does nothing. But once I fill up the entire tank with some cycled water, which took a long time because of how big it was, check out what it can do.
All right, now if I go and plug in these pumps, as you can see, it starts to make bubbles at the back of the enclosure. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But basically this little air pump just blows air into this tube, which goes into there. But what I could actually do is unattach that and just blow into this myself to make bubbles. That was cool. Anyways, the last technology is this little fish. I'm just kidding. I've actually already shown this in a video before. So what I've got is the upgraded version. Yeah, this one's way bigger and way cooler. Which, as you can see, if I just go and put it in the water like this, it starts to swim around like a normal fish.
And yeah, I just think it'd be funny if I maybe tested the piranhas to see if they try to eat it or something. So I sucked the liquid up into the syringe thing and brought it over to the tank.
Okay, this might seem kind of complex, but it's actually genius. You see, I can basically squirt some of this around in the water and it just spreads the scent around. And what I'm gonna do is attach it to the side of the enclosure, and whenever I want to get the piranhas mad and in hunting mode, I just squirt a little bit of this out the end and it'll make them go absolutely crazy.
So I attached that to the side of the tank with some glue, and then it was done. And now, anyways, this tank is now complete. And speaking of the piranhas, it's time to get them inside.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best to not get bit here. Oh no.
So I grabbed the temporary tank they were in and brought it over to their new home so I could scoop them out.
Okay, they definitely look more aggressive than the first time I did this, but I'm just gonna carefully scoop one guy out just like that. Oh shoot, he's mad, but I'm just gonna put him into the new tank, and there you go. Be free, my friend. New home.
So I did that same process with the other 5, and there we go. The piranhas were in their new home. And as you could guess, immediately they packed up like piranhas do and looked as though they were already on the hunt for food once again.
Well, these piranhas look pretty hungry, I'm not gonna lie, or maybe piranhas are just always hungry. So now I'm gonna feed them. Now if you remember at the start, the piranhas wanted nothing to do with the crickets, but let's see how they'll react now that they're in this new tank.
So I dropped in just one, and because it was just floating there, I grabbed it with tweezers to show the piranhas. Instantly, you could see they picked up the memo that this was alive, and they sort of started to nibble it like the mealworms. But not even a single piranha actually took a big enough bite to eat this cricket.
Okay, that was pretty bad. I guess these piranhas just don't really like insects, so that's why I'm gonna rapid fire the next 2 off. Here you can see I've got salmon and ground beef, which is a lot more smelly. They better like this.
I started by waving the salmon around in the water until the piranhas noticed it, and once a few started to come up and nibble it, I accidentally dropped it into the sand where all the rest of the piranhas came swimming up. They huddled around it like a pack of hyenas and started to actually take little chunks out of the piece for them to eat. So I did the same thing with the ground beef and held it in the water. And this time the piranhas were even more interested, and instantly the entire pack huddled around it and took turns taking their bites out of it. I even noticed that the scraps of it had fallen onto the floor and were getting surrounded by the piranhas too.
Well, the first of which being mealworms.
And before feeding them the mealworms, if you remember, I had this pipe with the delicious juice inside, which I went and squirted inside to let the piranhas know it was feeding time. And as you could guess, they immediately started to go up and eat it, which kind of made a mess, but yeah, they were loving it.
Oh my gosh, do you see that? They're all gathering around a little area where I just put it in.
So now that they were ready, I dropped in the mealworms and one started to sink down. 2 of the piranhas noticed it and kind of took nibbles at it, but they were kind of just playing around with it more than they were actually eating it. And that same thing kept happening with most of mealworms, but that was until I saw this, where 3 of them took turns devouring it up, and yeah, this one actually got eaten.
Okay, well, mealworms, they loved that so much, but that doesn't mean I gotta do my hand now. I said I would do it in the intro, so, you know, let's just do it. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Start the timer. Let's see how long I can keep it in here.
Right away, nothing really happened because none of the piranhas were near my hand. But I knew this was kind of cheating, so I moved my hand closer, where right away, one sort of noticed me and actually started to chase my hand as I moved it away to avoid getting bit. So of course, I moved my hand back over to the pack, where some of them definitely got sort of close to biting me, but they were nowhere near as aggressive as they were towards the beef. You see, it's actually a common misconception that piranhas are evil towards humans like all the movies say.
But to be honest,